Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Collegiate iRacing League's Flexware College Cup Series. It's the Ignition Zone pre-race show for our Miami 200 from Homestead Miami Speedway, the penultimate race of this season's Flexware College Cup Series, and it's also the end of our playoff round where we will cut to our top 4 drivers tonight who will have a shot at racing for the title next week at Kansas. But before we get into that, we're going to hype you up for tonight's race by talking about the drivers tonight as well as what happened last week, as I'm your host, as always, Zach Lindler, alongside Alex Gagnon in the booth. And Alex, last week's race was so much fun to watch. There was drama, there was chaos, there was playoff implications with a massive incident involving one of our playoff drivers. But ultimately, Matthew Morton came out with the win on top. He played his cards right in the strategy and was able to punch his ticket to the championship 4 last week. But was there ever a doubt that he wouldn't do it?
I don't think there was a doubt, but there's a lot of mental factors, I think, that go into it about winning your way into the championship 4 versus just surviving off the points lead you built for the regular season. I think that's a huge boost for him going into the championship race at Kansas the week after today, knowing that he's already locked in with that win and knowing that even though he's in this playoff field now and all the stakes have been heightened a little bit and the pressure's on even more, goes out there, gets that win that he didn't necessarily need it, but I think mentally is going to be a huge boost for him for the championship 4. So now we know 2 of our championship 4 contenders between him and Ball State's Daniel Nanny. But there are still 2 more spots available tonight. Either someone wins and someone points their way in, or we'll get 2 drivers who will try and point their way in tonight. Either way, it's going to be interesting to see who's trying to go for it and who's going to try and point their way in, because some drivers can make it on points, and a few more of these playoff drivers need a win desperately.
Yes, as we take a look real quick at our Flexware College Cup Series playoff standings coming into tonight's race, of course, Matthew Morton locked himself in last week at Nashville. The week before that at Darlington, Daniel Nanny locked himself in. So we've gone 2 for 2 in playoff drivers winning in the playoff round. And there's still 8 more opportunities, or 8 more drivers that can win tonight to make it 3 for 3.
Yeah,
but also
8 drivers,
plenty of drivers throughout the.
opportunity.
Yeah, they want that win to be able to lock themselves in. But still plenty of drivers throughout the field who maybe are looking to play spoiler. But there you see right now, good on points, are Muhammad Alif and Clint Halterman taking that 3rd and 4th position coming into tonight's race. But that battle at the cut line is about to get extremely intense with a really good shot to get in and cross that line. Zach DeWale from St. Clair College and Jake Cummings from Wingate University maybe need some work and luck on their side. Charles Wembley from Guilford College and Andrew Stagey from Ball State. And then Andrew Williams from Clemson and Jason Wallet from Drexel. Both of those drivers are pretty much in a must-win situation. If they want to go racing for the title next week at Kansas, they have to win tonight's race, barring any sort of miracle where everybody else in the field, all the other playoff drivers in the field, crash out.
Yeah, I when I look at this list, my eyes gravitate to the 123 of Drew Williams. He's only down this far because of the incident last week where his wheel disconnected from his computer and he bended into the outside wall. And that's really, I mean, it's not even really a fault of his own, you know, just a blip in technology cost him a ton of positions, a ton of points, and now forces him into a must-win scenario. So you know he's going to be even more hungry tonight to try and go out there and pick up that win he so desperately needs to keep his championship hopes alive. But the odds are going to be against him. You know, when you trail by 23 points, you can no longer take a conservative approach to the race and just try and run your race and see where you end up. You need to go out there and make something happen if you're Williams or Wallet. Jason Wallet, I mean, both of these races, he's run all right. He's been in that 10th to 15th range. He hasn't had horrible speed, but with how good these playoff drivers have been running, that 76 is going to need something pretty impressive to happen, I think, here tonight if he wants any shot at moving on. And then to your point of the guys 5 through 8 there, you know, for some drivers, the points benefit within reach. DeWale could very easily get a couple positions on Halterman here tonight and take that 4th and final spot. Or we've seen Jake Cummings win this season. We've seen Charles Wembley win this season. Could they pick up their second victory of the season at the time where it matters most and punch their ticket? There's just so many question marks coming into tonight's race. And I'm so excited to see how it turns out because Homestead is one of those tracks that really puts everything in the driver's hands and let them go out there and fight it out amongst themselves. And I think we're going to see a lot of that here tonight, and some of these playoff drivers really thrive.
Yeah, Morton, Nanny, and Alif, I would dare to say, as they're the title favorites. Alif obviously in a very good position right now to point his way in. He has a good shot of taking the win tonight to just outright win his way in, but I think he's got a comfortable enough lead to where he can just sit back, relax, focus on avoiding any sort of incidents or mistakes, and he'll be good to go. Clint Halterman, however, I think, you know, he's been really consistent all season. He's been on the podium so many times on these 1.5 mile tracks. I think if he does that again tonight, he's going to get his way into the playoffs as well. So if we're talking predictions, I think this top 4 might stay as is, barring a new playoff winner from outside the top 4. Now, we look at some other drivers throughout the field. Jake Cummings, his one win this season came at Auto Club back at the very beginning of the season. That's a very throttle-heavy, draft-heavy track, just like Homestead, where there's multiple lines through the corner. I think he's got the racecraft and he's got the technical skill to put that 100 car in a really good spot to point his way in. And Charles Wembley as well has been super consistent at the 1.5 mile tracks this season so far. So that 37 machine may end up in victory lane tonight. And if he does, that would be phenomenal for that Guilford College program. Andrew Williams, always consistent, but just can't quite ever get that job done. I think he might have a shot at winning tonight. I know we were joking. I was talking with him earlier this week, and I asked him, I said, what is it going to take for you to get into the playoffs? And he said power outages in Ohio. Of course, making a reference to Matthew Morton.
Well, and also Ball
Williams,
State. They're all in
Ball
that
State
area.
too. Yeah, all in that area.
Yeah.
So Williams knows that he needs a little bit of luck on his side, that if it's going to happen, he's going to have to put everything down on the track tonight.
Well, Ball State, I realize, is in Indiana, but the two share a common border, so I mean,
It's close
the power
enough.
grid might service both states for all I know. If that was the case, that'd be catastrophic for the playoff field. We'd lose nearly half the cars like that. But one more point you made there a second ago about Charles Wembley that I want to touch on as well. The 37 of Charles Wembley, His one win this season came at Bristol, a track that's not all that like Homestead, very different approaches the way you have to race this track. But it was the regular season finale. The pressure was on for Wembley to make sure he locked himself into the playoffs, and he went out there and got that win he needed. We know he's a bit of a clutch performer. We've seen it a couple times this season. This could be an opportunity for him to really cement that legacy as a closer when it matters most and go out there and get that second win of the season. And I think he is capable of it. I don't know if he'll win tonight, but I think he'll have the speed to contend.
And I think that's the case for many of our drivers out there. Jake Cummings has had speed. I think he and Brandon Schulenberger have finally clicked it together. Something snapped in those two drivers about halfway through this season, and they found some phenomenal speed. Last week at Nashville, of course, was the case. Brandon Schulenberger finishing on the podium for the second time in his career. Jake Cummings just right there behind him. So those two Wingate drivers are going to try to link up as early as they can, strengthen numbers, and work their way up through the field so Cummings can maybe try and steal a win here at the dying breath of the season. Charles Wembley, like you said, very consistent. Andrew Stagey as well. There's a driver that we really haven't talked all that much about, but yet he is still in the hunt for the championship 4. He's been extremely consistent. In fact, I think he's had maybe one DNF this season, but every single time we look at the final results, he's been in the top 10. So if he keeps that consistency up, he's going to need some luck on his side, but Stagey may have a shot at the win here. If some things go his way. Like we said, Williams already knows that he needs some luck on his side. He needs a win tonight. And Jason Wallet, another driver that's been consistent all season, but really hasn't been much of a factor, I hate to say it, in these last couple of races. He's finished in the teens both races. He was the lowest finishing playoff driver that wasn't Drew Williams with a DNF last week. So the gap from Wallet to that cutoff line grew at Nashville, and he needs some luck. He needs a win on his side, and he needs a really, really clutch performance tonight to be able to make it in.
Yeah, and we know the 76 has speed, especially these mile and a half. We've seen it multiple times over the past few seasons where that Drexel car can get up there and battle inside the top 8, inside the top 5, even in like that podium area. He's had good speed at times on these mile and a halves. Just the past couple weeks really hasn't been there, which has been tough, especially for a driver. I know that he holds himself to a high standard, so I'm sure he's getting frustrated with the outcomes of those as well. They'll be looking to try and capitalize tonight and try and make something happen. But you were talking about Andrew Stagey a second ago, and there is a very real possibility where he wins tonight, locks himself in, and since Alif has a 12-point buffer over Clint Halterman right now, should Stagey win this race, we could have 3 Ball State drivers in the championship 4 with Daniel Nanny, R. Muhammad Alif, and then Andrew Stagey, with the lone non-Ball State driver being Ohio State's Matthew Morton. Obviously, Stagey would need to go out there and get a win. He hasn't done that yet this season, but he's run well. And I know the Ball State guys have been really, the big theme for them this year has been trying to lift all ships in the program. They've been trying to make sure everybody is moving to that elevated level. And, if things come down to it at the end and, a couple of Ball State teammates line up on a late race restart, maybe they try and give the 88 a little bit of an edge, knowing that they already have one driver locked in and another one's looking pretty good on points right now.
Yeah, Dan Marino has helped turn that Ball State program into an absolute powerhouse here in this CIL. They're doing really well in the prototype challenge. R. Muhammad Ali, 2nd place. Cale Davidson, 3rd place in that championship right now. Formula C, just complete and total domination on our Wednesday night series. R. Muhammad Ali, I think if he scores a singular point this week, he clinches the World Drivers' Championship. The Ball State drivers, Alif and Davidson, have already secured the 1-2. Ball State lifted the Student Constructors Championship 2 weeks ago. They're just untouchable on the formula side. And the way that they could finish off a hat trick of a phenomenal season is if one of their drivers winds up hoisting the title this time around in the Cup Series. It could be Nanny, it could be Alif, it also could be Stagey, like you said, if he gets his miracle walk-off victory tonight. But yeah, going back to Jason Wallet for a second, and this applies to Andrew Stagey as well. Those are two drivers that I've noticed over the season that they're fast, but they're not quick. They have a lot of speed, but they don't necessarily have the pace to keep the car competitive. And that's what sets drivers like Matthew Morton and Daniel Nanny and R. Muhammad Alif and maybe even Halterman and DeWale apart from the rest of the field, is they can go out right after a pit stop or right after a restart with some fresh tires and just slice up the field. They are so fast. But they just don't have the resource management to keep those cars alive for very long, and that's when you see them start snaking their way backwards through the field. So they're still very, very good drivers, and still with a very good shot to win tonight or make their way in. But there's just something that sets these top 5 guys apart from the rest of the field that you can't bet against them. But speaking of making our bets, I just got producer Christian in my ear yelling at me that I think it's time for us to make ours. And as always, Alex, I will defer the first pick to you.
I'm not sure. I mean, look, I've been on a bit of a hot streak lately. I don't know if you want to delegate me the first pick. I seem to have the good hand lately. I didn't get the race winner last week for the first time in a couple weeks, but I did get the alumni class winner, so I'll give a half point to myself for that one. But, last week the alumni class winner was the 519 of Zach DeWale. He ran really well. And he's in a must-win situation tonight. But the person he needs to be battling, not only for that alumni championship, but also for potentially the last playoff spot, is going to be my pick tonight, the 077 UNC Charlotte's Clint Halterman. I think he's going to come out here and have a really strong race today at Homestead. I think it would be a crime to not have a UNC Charlotte driver in the Final Four. It just feels like something that we've seen time and time again here in the CIL. And I think that alone is going to help power the 077 into contention here tonight, pick up a victory, and lock himself into the championship 4.
Yeah, my pick tonight for the race win, I think I've picked him once already this season, and it went relatively well. He didn't win the race, but he got a really, really good result. I'm going to go with the number 37 car of Charles Wembley. We talked about just how consistent he's been on these mile-and-a-half tracks. He's constantly been in the top 5, a few podiums as well. I think that 37 car is cooking something tonight. I think something is going to go his way. I don't know what it is about it, but I'm really feeling that 37 car is going to have a shot at victory lane tonight. He's going to take all the chances he can get. He's going to win this race. He's going to lock himself in. And dare I say that Clint Halterman is going to be the driver to join him. And that's my championship 4. Morton, Nanny, Wembley, and Halterman.
Yeah, mine are going to be the 4 in there right now. It's going to be Morton, Nanny, Alif on points, and then Halterman with a win is my prediction. But I must say, when it comes to just feeling vibes, the last time one of us went off of a vibe pick for the 37, he won the race at Bristol because that's what was my reasoning for him. The vibes feel good for him today, so who's to say? Maybe Wembley throws a wrench in everyone's plans here tonight, but we'll have to find out in just a minute because I'm looking at the time there, Zach, and I think it's time for us to take a quick break before we get started tonight.
It sure is. We're going to take about a 5-minute break. You can see the timer counting down on the bottom of your screen. We're going to be back in about 4 or 5 minutes or so with our countdown to green and live flag-to-flag coverage. We'll see y'all in just a minute. As the black hole sun eclipsed America, at the coalescence of moon and star, an astronomical spectacle will yield way to a spectacle of astronomical proportion. Here at the end of the playoff round, as the sun sets on the track, so will the sun set on 6 drivers' chances of CIL glory. But for Matthew Morton, Daniel Nanny, and 2 other drivers, by virtue of fate and skill alone, they'll have one last shot at the most legendary prize in collegiate sim racing. 10 drivers have earned their way into the playoffs, but only 4 will ultimately earn the right to move on. 8 drivers still have yet to lock themselves into the championship 4, but only 2 can join Nanny and Morton. 4 will continue to shine as the titans of the sport, but 6 drivers' chances will fall into the shadows. 200 miles, 133 laps to answer the ultimate question on everyone's mind. Who's in? This is the Miami 200 from Homestead Miami Speedway, as I'm your host for this evening alongside Alex Gagnon, currently experiencing technical difficulties, and tonight's race will be the most important race of the season for 8 of our drivers. 2 spots taken, 2 spots left, and when it's all said and done, we're going to know who's moving on to Kansas. So as of right now, the only 2 drivers that we know are going to Kansas in the championship 4, Ohio State's Matthew Morton, last week's winner at Nashville. Joining him, Daniel Nanny from Ball State University, our winner at the first playoff round at Darlington. And right now, on points, those last 2 spots currently go to Ball State's Muhammad Alif, 12 points above the cut line to our last driver in, Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte. He is the cut line for tonight's race. Now, on the other side of things, the outside looking in, Zach DeWale from St. Clair College, he is only 3 points below the cut line with a great shot to get himself into the championship 4. Just behind him, Wingate's Jake Cummings, -7. Those drivers have a very good shot at doing well on pace. If they do well on pace, they can lock themselves in by points. Some other drivers who might need some help, Charles Wembley, that 37 car from Guilford College, is 10 points behind, but he picked up the win to get into the playoffs when he needed it most at Bristol at the cutoff race. He's clutched it once already this season. Will he do it again? My pick says yes. I think so. But he's going to need some help tonight to do it, as well as Andrew Stagey from Ball State University, 17 points below the cut line. And in a must-win situation, Andrew Williams from Clemson University, 23 points behind, and 27 points behind, it's Drexel's Jason Wallet in 10th. 8 enter with a shot to move on, but only 2 will move on. This is going to be a phenomenal race. Thank you all for joining. Our on-track action is going to begin in just a couple of minutes, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at the for tonight. Homestead Miami Speedway, a very beloved track here in the Flexware College Cup Series. 1.5 mile track, very steep banking in the corners. It's progressively banked as well, which means that the bottom of the turn is a little less steep than the top of the turn. This makes for some incredible 2-wide, maybe even 3-wide action with battles that continue over the course of many, many, many laps. 133 laps around this racetrack. As you see, that 20-degree banking in the corners, all the way at the top, down to about 16 at the bottom. 3 degrees of banking on the straightaways. Pit road speed, 45 miles an hour. This pit road is a relatively easy pit road to get on. compared to some of the other tracks on the calendar this season. But one of the big keys to the race, and I've said this all season, is you have to minimize your mistakes on pit road. So no speeding on entry, no speeding on exit. Make sure that you hit your marks. Make sure that you get your pit stops done right, and you'll be completely fine. And of course, this first track, first appearing in the very first season of the Flexware Cup Series back in season 1, fall 2020, a very long time ago. And
Vintage.
It very quickly cemented itself as a favorite among the drivers. There he is, recovering from technical difficulties. Alex, welcome to the booth. Glad you could finally join us. I was just telling everybody how fun of a race this is going to be tonight and just how much it's going to mean for two of our drivers in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, apologies for the technical issues, but we're back and ready to rock and roll here for tonight's event in Miami, and you did such a beautiful job laying out all the details of the track here tonight. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. These next-gen cars do so well on these mile-and-a-half tracks, and especially when it comes to Homestead Miami, we've seen some absolute shows. I think it's going to be just a stellar event here tonight. And there's so much on the line for these drivers. An opportunity to go race for a championship next week at Kansas. But this track is it's an easier said than done kind of deal, you know. Just because there's multiple lanes you can run at this track does not mean by any means that it's an easy track to run, especially under the lights. Track temperature cools way down, and on those early runs, you're not going to have any of the grip you think you do. So if we get a long green flag run and then a later caution comes out, you're not going to be able to Superman it into turn 1 and 2 like you had been on the previous run, because those tires will not grab the track, and you will lose the back end up into the outside wall, and that is definitely not talking from personal experience.
You would never, not at all.
No, definitely not on the first lap of a race, too.
Oh, no.
I'm still scarred
no.
by that one. Season finale of season 3, I qualified 12th, 5th, 14th, whatever. I had a pretty good qualifying run by my standards. Get out there first lap, completely forget that the tires were cold, and just hit it into the outside wall. Yeah, it was awful.
That happened. That happened right in front of me. I remember that now. Yes.
Yeah, it was rough, and then it was irreparable damage, and I ran 5 laps all day. So I'm wishing better fortunes for all of our drivers here tonight, and this is my word of warning to the field now that those cold tires are going to be a lot more rough than you think they're going to be. So I wish them all the best here. But I mean, we've got a really talented group of folks out there, and I have no real concerns for them. But it's definitely going to be something just to keep an eye on in case.
Yeah, the racing the past couple of weeks has been absolutely nothing short of spectacular. Long green flag runs, intense battles, lots of side-by-side racing, and even some last lap passes in the closing minutes of races. Here, those critical playoff points to boost yourself above your competitors. And that's all what we're going to see tonight, and then some, as we're going to go ahead and get started here. I believe qualifying is underway. We're going to ride along with my pick to win this evening, Charles Wembley, the 37 from Guilford College. And we're going to show you a couple laps here around Homestead. It's a very unique track with a lot of personality, a lot of decision-making going on every single lap. So we're going to ride on board here with Charles Wembley as he qualifies tonight.
Nice long straightaways here at Homestead before the high banks. Looks like he's taking that middle groove through the track here for qualifying. An interesting choice, I feel like. You know, a lot of cars like going all the way down to the bottom if they can, trying to make this track as short as possible. And then some drivers like going all the way up to try and get as much speed as they can down the straightaways. Wembley kind of splitting the difference, though. I guess that's where his car feels the most comfortable to rotate across the center of the corner, because he did it not only in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 as well. And he's really pushing that thing. Oh, maybe even clip the wall a little bit there. That's how hard he's pushing that number 37 right now.
There you see right to the edge of that seam on the bottom. In fact, he's going to break that seam and go all the way to the bottom of the track, down into 4th gear, coming off the corner, using all the torque and the horsepower from the motor to get that car launched up to speed, up into 5th, just very momentarily 5th, maybe down to 4th. Yes, downshift through the corners, back to the very bottom, carrying as much speed as he possibly can on the shortest line around the track, like you said, washing all the way out to the wall, just barely clipping it and across the line. And you got to do that 133 times tonight if you want a shot at making the championship 4. So we're gonna wait for our lap times to start rolling in here and get some official results for you as we head to our starting grid in just a couple of moments.
Yeah, and I think track position early on here is going to be critical. We know that the playoff drivers have the speed on these mile and a halves between Darlington and Vegas the past couple weeks. We know they have what it takes over a long run here at these mile and a halves. But because they all have some good speed, they're going to need to get that position earlier. It's a lot easier to defend than it is to attack here at Homestead, Miami, at least in my opinion. Even though it is a multi-groove track, once you have that track position, you can kind of put yourself wherever you need to be, and your car will still work if you attack the corner the right way, but it gives you some versatility to play defense tonight. And I think track position is going to be critical here, so the qualifying going to matter quite a bit.
Well, speaking of track position and qualifying, I do believe the results are finalized and official. Let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's starting grid for the Miami 200. Take it away, Alex.
You betcha. So, the two winners from the playoffs so far, Matt Morton of Ohio State, Daniel Nanny of Ball State, on the front row. One of them, or both of them, looking for their second win of the playoff round. Lucas Moody and R. Muhammad Alif, third and fourth. The Ball State Cardinals have come to play here today, qualifying second, third, and fourth.
Wow.
Jake Cummings and Clint Halterman, a couple of playoff alumni drivers battling it out to try and lock themselves in here in 5th and 6th. Andrew Stagey and Brandon Schulenberger will be rolling off in 7th and 8th. Stagey looking for that quality spot in the playoffs here still, and Schulenberger's just been bad fast lately. Rounding out 9th and 10th here, Matt Nordberg of NC State and Ben Neller of Ball State. 5 Ball State Cardinals in the top 10. Are you kidding me?
That is insane. As we take a look a little bit further on towards the back of the field, Zach DeWale in the 519 is going to start to the inside of his OWR teammate, Andrew Williams from Clemson University. Row number 7, another Clemson car. Nick Stockner in the 124, back from his cruise, is going to make the grid tonight. He starts alongside Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology. 37 of Charles Wembley has some work to do tonight. He's going to start in row 8 next to Kelton Quick from Ball State. Row number 9, Jason Wallet, also with some work to do. He'll start next to Edwin Onofre in 199 machine. And rounding out our top 20, it's Andrew Burrell and Landon Velicki. 2 Tiger cars right next to each other.
Row 11, it's Baruch's Edward Sanchez and the 057 Binghamton's Alex Hallinar. And that's our field tonight. 22 cars ready to do battle here from Homestead Miami Speedway. A lot of playoff drivers in that front group. A lot of Ball State cars in that front group. How are they going to try and get around the one of Matt Morton? We'll find out in just a moment, but boy, do they have numbers to try and go on the offensive.
And 22 cars tonight means that it's official. Andrew Williams and, Jason Wallet will have to win tonight's race to make the playoffs. So there you see a little glimpse at our race analysis as Fred, the pace car driver, makes the hard left onto pit road for one more time in the playoffs round. The drivers hit the green flag and we're racing at Homestead. And already three wide into the corner.
The 13 did not get a good launch off. He lost a ton of positions as the field is just eating him alive right now.
And there's still 3 wide up there. The 7 of Schulenberger on the top of the 13. And then right underneath him, here's Zach DeWale now trying to charge up through the field. Lap 1 complete. We have officially made it 1 lap without incident so far in this race, despite all of this 3 wide action that you're seeing on your screen. It's an absolute hornet's nest out there on track, but that is the quality of racing and the type of show that this track puts on. It's so much fun for us to watch. It's so much fun for the drivers too. They love it, and we are just starting tonight.
Yeah, man, I mean, look at that 3 wide throughout the field here as Daniel Dandy goes around the outside of Matt Morton for the lead. He has taken away the position here. The 30 now out front early on at Homestead. Matt Morton going to settle into second, splitting the 2 Ball State cars of Nanny and Alif. Both of the front two cars go low. A Leaf all the way to the high side here, coming off a 2.
About Jake Cummings up into that 4th position. He gained a couple spots on the start of the race for that Wingate car. I don't see his teammate anywhere. Yeah, Brandon Schulenberger back there in 12th, so you know that 7 car is going to try and work his way up through the field to link bumpers with that 100 car. But now here comes a Leaf with a head of steam. Our 3 leaders, nose to tail down the front stretch. The top 2 there have won in the playoff round. They are going racing for the championship. A Leaf currently good on points, but he would love a 3rd win this season. And look at the run he's got coming out of the corner. My goodness, that 12 just rocketed to the lead.
He looked at his teammate and said, well, that's nice that you're standing there, but excuse me, and just rolled right on past him. Wasn't even a contest off of 2. Now Morton looks to get around Nanny here on the outside. Jake Cummings going to try and slide in there as well. I mean, the 12 of Armahan Relief got a crazy run off the corners. The caution's out here on lap number 5. Caution waves for the first time here today. Nick Stockner in the 124 sideways on the front stretch.
Wondering if he maybe had some help there, because that car was completely backwards coming across the start-finish line. But I was just about to say, how about Matt Nordberg? He started 9th, and he's already up to 5th. What a great run. Great opening run for that number 076 NC State machine.
Yeah, he's having a good run. I mean, so is the 100 of Cummings. Cummings started back there in the 7th or 8th position. He's up to 4th as well. That top group really got shuffled up early when the 13 had some issue on the restart, and he really kind of shuffled the whole order there through 1 and 2. But let's take a look here to see what happened to the 124 at Nick Stockner.
So this is going to happen as the cars are coming out of turn 4. There you see the 124 3 wide underneath the 22 of Austin DeLong. And that is some filthy net code coming out of the corner, but not responsible for the incident. I think it might have happened on the next lap.
It's certainly a possibility, because the 124 very intact there as he gets on by the 22. This is the next lap here, so we're jumping on to the next lap. He gets a little loose and just
he kept it off the wall. Wow.
Yeah, he kept it off the wall, but yeah, just got a little too throttle happy coming off of 4, and that's the issue, you know. You're racing side by side with somebody. You want to try and get as much throttle down early as you can, but on that inside lane, and you're coming up off the apron, you just have to wait that little bit longer before you actually throttle it. Otherwise, you're going to lose the back end because you're not fully glued to the ground yet, and that's exactly what happened to the 124 there. So he'll put some fresh tires on it. Looks like the 26 of Edward Sanchez also on pit road here. So a couple of early takers. Oh, Matt Morton's on pit road. Matt Morton.
Early. All right. Well, that's
the strategy game's already kicked off.
I'm wondering if I see Matt there in our waiting room. I'm wondering if maybe we could pull him in and chat about what's going on there. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk to Matt Morton. Matt, you got a copy?
I do. Can you guys hear me? Sorry about that.
Yeah, we got you now. So, very early in the race, you came down pit road. What's the call there?
I see it's kind of close on fuel. I don't know how long we can go on a tank of gas. So, I mean, I'm just trying things out. I don't think it would really hurt myself if I pit this early in the race. I think we can get positions back on track if we needed to. But yeah, just trying things out, see if it plays into our advantage a little bit. I got that win from last week to bank on, so I'm not really trying to fight as hard as I am if I weren't locked in. So trying a new strategy out.
All right, looks like some research going on. We were just curious, and we saw you waiting down there in the voice chat, so we wanted to pull you up here and do a little inquiry, a little inquisition as to what's going on. But still a lot of racing left. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks for chatting.
You guys.
There you heard it, folks. He's just a little research there. for Morton to try and maybe take a look at his fuel consumption in those opening laps. I think we saw about 60 laps on a fuel tank. So these drivers are going to have to stop.
Yeah, that was the loose
it's gonna
consensus I heard was 60.
Yeah, about 2 stops. So that additional stop may play into the favor of Morton, but that's going to give these two Ball State cars of Alif and Nanny the lead, the lockout on the front row, and they're going to stay that way as they come across the line. Green flag once again at Homestead.
The 30 didn't get a great launch there in the 1. Alif really was able to pull out a bit of a gap. Here goes Jake Cummings to the inside, though, of Daniel Nanny looking for second. And then you've also got quite the battle going on back. That high side really got a good run. Nordberg flying up there. 3 wide behind him now, but the 076 on the war charge to the front.
That would be something incredible if he could get a win tonight. Nordberg is an extremely fast driver. That NC State car is a rocket. But he's just been caught up in such unlucky incidents. He's been caught up in crashes. He's spun a few times. It just that 076 car can't catch a break. So for him to have a great result tonight, maybe even the win and play spoiler in the playoffs, that would mean something incredible for that NC State program.
Yeah, and he just gave a nice shot to the back bumper there, the 30. Things are trending in the right direction for NC State. You know, both basketball teams for them made the Final Four this year. Maybe a little bit of playoff success of their own here for Matt Nordberg, trying to manifest some of the good vibes there from the men's and women's basketball program there over for the Wolfpack. But, I mean, looking just behind Nordberg here, though, I mean, we've got cars 2-3 wide throughout the field. Here comes Zach DeWale on the high side. That 519 trying to troll the outside as we got 3 wide behind them. Here comes Drew Williams.
Yeah, I think that high side is going to be extremely strong in these first about 10, 15 laps of these green flag stints. And then we're going to see that pace start to shift towards that bottom side. The top is very quick. The car hooks very easily. You can get it to rotate. In fact, you almost want to run as close to the wall as you can. Like there you see the 519 running inches away from the wall on the high side, a la Kyle Larson. But eventually that speed's going to come down as the tires wear in, and that momentum is going to shift towards the bottom of the track, as you see some of these other drivers running right now. But I think right now it's just gauge where you run best. Is a bit of a moment there for Nordberg. Sideways coming out of turn 4. He collects it and he'll be able to keep going. But it's kind of like Matt Morton did. It's research time right now. Where does my car drive the best? Where am I the most comfortable? Where do I want to put myself as these laps continue to wind down to have the best shot at the win? To try and learn as much as possible.
Yeah, and speaking of learning there, the 13, I think, learned something from their opening restart that didn't go so well. Got a much better launch here on the second time around and is starting to rally back toward the front of the field. Lucas Moody now up into the 6th position. He qualified in the 2nd row. So we know that 13's got some pace here tonight. The question is going to be how long can he maintain it? Is it just that short run speed, or does he have the extended green flag speed to boot? Right now settling in behind Jake Cummings. He's got a lot of playoff drivers on his back bumper. Halterman diving to the inside here, trying to take that position away. This is the battle for 6th.
Looks like Halterman got his paint fixed from last week. Everything's not upside down anymore, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Honestly, I really enjoyed the upside downs. Yeah, I thought that was a ton of fun.
I did too. It looked great.
Well, speaking of paint schemes real quick while we've got a second, I would love to take a closer look at the 519 of Zach DeWales. I think he's got a really cool looking setup tonight. The number font on it, it's given very heavy Scooby-Doo vibes to me.
I noticed that when we were doing the starting grid, as that 519 number looked a little bit different, but yeah, he's running a little bit of a changed up livery on that car tonight. Look at those stripes down the side, the blue, or blue. Shapes and colors, Zach. Goodness. Green and red stripes down the side of the car. I need to go back to kindergarten. But yeah, I mean, it's simple. It looks good. I like that. I like that car a lot. But this car, producer Christian's making fun of me now. But let me tell you what, that Ball State car of R. Muhammad Alif, I like that one as well. It's a very nice shiny red. It looks great under the lights.
Yeah, and the two of them took very different approaches to it. Oh, the caution's out. I was about to get into a whole discussion about paint schemes here, but the caution is out. Wondering who for might be the 121 of Burl or the 22 of DeLong, or maybe the both of
And
them.
it's the
And there's Nick
124
Stockner again.
and the 22 also involved in that one, Austin DeLong. So those two cars getting wrapped up in another incident. Race Control might have to take a look at what's going on between these two and nip that in the bud before we get any beef here.
124 has not had a good start to the night here. That thing's been beat up already. It's only 18 laps in.
We're going to take a look at that replay as quickly as we get it here. But caution number 2 of the evening coming out on lap 17 of 133 in tonight's Miami 200 is the 124 of Stockner going to come back down pit road. I don't recall if he put an additional set of tires on that car the first time he came down pit road. But we're going to take a look and see what happened. This incident may have started further up in the field.
Yeah, we're taking a look there with Nordberg,
Well,
Wallet,
the caution, I
Millicky,
think,
and
is,
Stagey, but maybe a little farther back in the field then. Rolling on board
So
here.
Stockner actually out running by himself in a pack of cars. The back end steps. Oh, wait a minute.
Wait. Someone's down there. Oh, and then
Oh.
heavy contact with the 22.
That is
The 88,
that's the 88.
of Andrew Stagey was slow there on the front stretch and collected the 124 and the 22. Let's see what happens off of turn 4 here. Oh, he gets tagged by Jason Wallet. The two of them collide.
And
Looks
then
like the
Nick
88 thought he
Stockner.
had more room, or the 76 just ran out of real estate. Who knows? But either way, heavy contact there for Stagey. And then that ultimately collects the 124 and the 22 in the process.
I think we call that a clear, not clear incident, but playoff implications here for the 88 and 76 as we're going to ride on board with Nick Stockner. You're going to see these two make contact, the smoke flying already as he comes off of turn 4. He thinks the incident's on the high side, so he goes back low, and then Stagey rolling out in the middle of the track. Stockner with the correction overcorrects into the wall, and then same thing with Austin DeLong, just nowhere to go for that 22 car. Hard hit for that PCT machine, and I think that's going to be some very critical damage to the front of that car. But Stockner may be able to keep going, barring any sort of suspension damage to that right front, and it looks like that car is rolling off of pit road. The 88 has come down pit road as well to get 4 fresh tires and to do some repairs to that Ball State machine.
Yeah, the 22, though, going to have an extended stay. I mean, there's heavy damage on that Penn College Technology car, but the playoff implications that you alluded to a minute ago with Wallet also still on pit road here. The 76, going to have to see if he can fight that thing back out there. That was a car who needed a win tonight to have a chance to advance to the next round, but the crew guys sitting there over the wall, that might be terminal for the 76's championship hopes, as the pace car is going to roll down the front stretch, I believe, here.
He's got half a lap
here.
He needs to leave pretty quickly if he wants to avoid going a lap down, but unfortunately, I think the damage has already been done. The 76 currently being scored 1 lap down. He's going to need to leave soon if he wants to keep it from 2. But cautions breed cautions, so he's certainly, if he can get that car back out, he is certainly not out of it just yet. But there you see the field has re-racked. Now the 26 of Edward Sanchez came down pit road on that first caution, and look at how he cycled back out to the front somehow, being scored the leader. So it's going to be Edward Sanchez. He hits the gas in the restart zone. Green flag back in the air at Homestead.
Jake Cummings is going to immediately try and attack that low side to get under the 26. Not sure if he's going to be able to do it, though, and they fan out too wide behind him. Here comes Daniel Nanny with a good run. Gets around Cummings, who got into the outside wall. That whole outside line gets checked up behind the 100.
And look who's there. Schulenberger now. Almost up to the back bumper of the 100. Those two nose to tail. Now they're going to start working together. That's a dangerous, dangerous combination to try and get up to the front of the field. You best be moving out of their way when they get to your back bumper. But they've got about 3 more cars in between themselves and the lead. Sanchez currently the leader. Nanny P2. Williams up to 3rd off of that restart. Man, what a great start for that 123 car. He started 12th, and now he's up to 3rd. So some good short run pace for that car, making his way up towards the front of the field.
Well, speaking of good runs here, let's take a look at our leader in the 26. Edward Sanchez qualified on the back row, I'm pretty sure, second to last row, but pit strategy now has him out in the front of the field. And now he's in control of this race. He's opened it up to a near 6/10 second advantage over Daniel Nanny, a car that has won 3 races this season. Edward Sanchez still looking for his first, but I mean, right now, he is set sail into the wind. It's nearly a 3/4 second gap now. That 26 really cooking right now on that low line there. And the pit strategy seems to work out pretty well on the early going right now. Curious to see if he can maintain this pace over a long run. Because in the short run here, it looks like that 26 is lightning fast.
Yeah, he's one of those drivers that's always been really, really good at the super speedway races. He's a phenomenal plate racer. Not a ton of pace on the 1.5 miles of the short track, but my goodness, it's about a football field from him from the back of his bumper to Daniel Nanny. About 3/4 of a second is that lead, but he's got to be careful on those tires. Is he going to burn out his stuff too quickly? The rest of the field will if he does, then the rest of the field is going to start catching him at about 10 or 12 laps or so. But some battles going on there towards the back of the top 5 and inside the top 10. I think that's Zach DeWale underneath the 100 of Cummings. They're 3 wide behind them for 7th position. Schulenberger to the inside of Halterman and Alif, and it looks like that battle is going to get resolved only moment. Cummings underneath Zach DeWale going into turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, a lot of playoff drivers all scrapping it out from 2nd through 6th here. Muhammad Alif has fallen all the way, or not fallen back to 6th, but he had led a good bit of these laps here. He's trying to work his way back to the front. Same deal with Nanny. Battle for 2nd there. And a lot of cars battling just behind them. Landon Velicki and Matt Morton door to door for a 2nd there. That's the battle for 10th. The Auburn Tiger and the Ohio State Buckeye are going to try and figure out who's going to get the last spot of the top 10 here for the moment. Right now, it appears to be Morton as he now looks to the inside of Schulenberger. But Velicki going to get a lot of momentum riding that high side off of 4.
So as it stands, that final transfer position on points, Muhammad Alif, good to go right now. He's in the middle of the top 10, running in that 5th position. He's currently in. Clint Halterman relegated to the outside, looking in at the moment. He's 4 positions behind Zach DeWale. That means DeWale is currently in by 1 point. Jake Cummings also on the outside, looking in. He's out now by only 2 points. So very, very tight there at the cutoff line as it stands.
Yeah, absolutely. And on board here with the 519 is Zach DeWale. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all running nose to tail here. He's going to try and roll that high side to get some momentum against Drew Williams. You see as they all slide back into view, he's going to close right back up to the back bumper. Will he take a look to the inside? No, he's actually going to push the 123 and make it too wide in front of him. Going to see if he can slow down both of these cars in that battle and then get the run off of 4.
Yeah, the 519 and the 123, part of that Orange Wheel Racing team, that technical alliance between a lot of schools here in the CIL. Strength in numbers for those cars tonight with the Orange Wheels working together. Zach DeWale, of course, pushing his teammate Williams up alongside Alif. It looks like Williams has the advantage at the moment. Alif is going to get the better run using that high line. Same thing into turn 3. DeWale thought about maybe giving a tap to Williams. Or excuse me, that's Nanny, not Alif.
Alif is creeping into the picture there.
Too many Ball State cars in this field. But yeah, as you said, here comes Alif, and he's dragging Lucas Moody with him. So 2 more Cardinals about to get involved in this fight.
Yeah, it was a 2-on-1 fight there between OWR and Ball State. Ball State said, well, the reinforcements have arrived, and now it's a 3-on-2 battle in 2nd through 6th. So a whole lot of cars trying to figure out their positions here. But all of this battling for 2nd and 3rd has continued to let the 26 maintain a pretty healthy gap behind him. Great early going here for Sanchez as he's watching all this out the rearview mirror as DeWale takes away the spot from Nanny temporarily. The 30 going to look back to the inside down the front stretch as they make their way into turn 1.
Looking towards the back of the top 10, Landon Velicki has worked his way up to 8th for Auburn. So that car is showing some long-term pace right now, as well as Charles Wembley, the 37 car, started 15th, now up to, just as I spoke, he takes away the ninth, actually trading that ninth position with Clint Halterman at the moment. So playoff battle between those two drivers. Halterman right now caught on the back foot. He is on the outside looking in as the results hold. Charles Wembley needs that win to be able to get in, though.
That he does, but there's also a couple of non-playoff drivers looking to play spoiler here. Obviously, Edward Sanchez in the lead. He's one of those guys. Lucas Moody in 6th, Landon Velicki in 8th, Ben Neller in 10th. I mean, there's a lot of non-playoff cars with a good run going here. Only 6 of the top 10 as we're cycling through a couple of those guys who are not active playoff drivers at the moment, but putting together a really solid run. As you see, Neller going to battle out with Clint Halterman there for 10th. Almost a little bit of contact between the two. Going to force the 077 whip, and now the sideways, and they wreck. The field wrecking behind them. Norton and Wembley. Nordberg, they're all wrecking on the front stretch here. At least 3-4 playoff drivers involved in that one, and we were with that the entire time. Great camera work there from massive playoff implications on lap 32 as we have just passed the quarter way mark of this race. 3 playoff drivers involved in that incident. Clint Halterman involved, Charles Wembley, as well as Matthew Morton catching a piece of that incident as well. So disaster striking to the disadvantage of 2 of those drivers. Morton, he doesn't really care. He's already locked in, but Halterman, he was in the transfer position coming into tonight's race. He needed a good result to keep it that way, but now he is really on the back foot after that incident, as well as Charles Wembley. Let's take a look at that replay. I mean, that we got to see that in real time, but there was so much happening. We're going to need to slow it down. So I think this is the lap prior because we see that Neller and Halterman were side by side coming off of turn 4. That's how it begins next lap. Here we go.
So the 79 actually tightens up coming out of turn 4, and then he tries to correct it, snaps loose, snaps back up the track, collects Halterman. Halterman spins down, collects both the 37 of Wembley and the 1, and Matt Nordberg. Oh, man, just when we needed him to have a good result, he is involved in another incident. But some
the 88
heavy
of Andrew
hitters.
State able to escape. The one playoff driver that was behind that who was able to get away and was able to sneak on through on that high side. So the 88, while he took some damage earlier on, able to avoid that one, but the 79 gets that thing immediately towed back the pit road. Tough break there. We'll go on board here with the 88 to see what he saw.
So there you see the cars sideways already in front of him. And whoa, if gap car.
But in this case, it's the best way to phrase it, you know.
Great
The
hands
if gap
there from
car
Andrew
mentality
Stagey.
is always dangerous, but he was able to get on by and keeps his playoff hopes alive here, although he is on pit road, trying to maybe get some of that earlier damage repaired while we're under caution.
Clint Halterman down on pit road, as well as Matt Nordberg, although he's going to be able to get off by the time the pace car comes down the front stretch to stay on the lead lap. Looks like Stagey's going to do the same. Halterman, will he be able to make it? I don't know. Are they going to close pit road? He sent it anyway, but the end of line penalty for exiting closed pit road doesn't really matter at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you're already at the end. You may as well take all the time you can get as long as it keeps you on the lead lap. Looks like our leader there, Edward Sanchez, also came down pit road since he was on that alternate strategy, which means a couple of playoff drivers are going to inherit the lead here. Drew Williams and Zach DeWale will be moving to the front row. Yeah, let's see if we can talk to Edward Sanchez for a second.
Where is he at? Let me go find him.
He's in that driver 5 chat.
Yeah, there he is. Edward Sanchez, it's us up here in the booth. How you doing, man?
Hey! Oh, you caught me at the right time before I said something. I mean, you guys saw it. I led, 30-something laps? I mean, that was insane.
Yeah, man, your car was wicked fast. You had a good gap going. You're on the alternate strategy here, but you know you've got pace now. What do you think your odds are if you can cycle back to the front?
Well, right now, the only person that I got to fight against, and that's a lovely ally, is Jake Cummings and Matthew Morton. Morton was on a similar plan as I was. If you saw, he pitted and I pitted in that first caution. I thought he was going to stay out with me, but he decided to go in to get fuel, I guess. I was on a one stopper. So I had enough fuel to make it on a one stop, and yeah, so all I can say is I got to fight with Jake, and I love Jake, but damn it, I think tonight is the night that I have a shot. I mean, you saw how good my car was in free air in the back of the pack. We're gonna have to see how good this blue collar Chevy Camaro LZ1 is gonna be in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, it's great to see out there up at the front. Obviously on that alternate strategy, is that something that you've cooked up with those two Wingate guys? Are you going to try to get on the same strategy at some point, or are you going to try to work together from different strategies and see what happens?
I can tell you right now, this is something I cooked by myself. These fellas, they had no idea going tonight, and they were completely like, they're like, wait, Edward's in the front after I stayed out. And I told them the truth. I was like, this is the plan. And yeah, so we're going to see how well I'm going to do tonight. I definitely watched a bunch of Miami Cup racing, so that's why I kind of cooked up this strat. So it comes to watching old films. All right, we're going to go green, but yeah, thank you, fellas.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, wish you luck there, Edward. Good luck the rest of the way. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure he had time to talk to his teammates here before the restart. But you can tell he's amped, and you can tell that he likes his car.
Yeah, and it's a good car that he's got tonight, and good teammates out there working with him. As we're going to go green flag racing once again at Homestead. Williams with a phenomenal restart. He's launched himself all the way out in front of Zach DeWale, who's now under attack from two Ball State cars in tandem. It's Nanny to the inside and a Leaf to the outside through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, those lead couple cars got a good run. Now here comes Nanny to the inside of DeWale. A Leaf going to close right up to the back bumper of the 30. As this battle for second will remain side by side here. The 519 at the whale up high, Nanny running that apron, and they're both closing in on the leader. And just behind them, you can see that great shot. All these cars too wide, fanning out high and low, trying to get every bit of track position they can. Trying to figure out where they can go on track, where their car is going to work here. Seeing on board, it's the 100 of Cummings and the 1 of Matt Morton, who was just caught up in that previous wreck. He stayed out with that slightly dinged up number 1 Ohio State machine. Battling right now in the back part of the top 10 with Cummings and Kelton Quick.
Our two defending champions currently split by the Ball State car of Kelton Quick. Of course, Matthew Morton, our overall champion. Jake Cummings, our alumni champion from last season. Him in that 100 car. But that title looks like it's going to change hands at this point, as it's a very, very close battle at the top of the alumni grid between Clint Halterman, Drew Williams, and Zach DeWale. So all these honors still very much in play in this penultimate race, and they won't be settled until the very last lap of our Kansas Championship 200 next week. But before then, we got to finish up this race. Now Daniel Nanny has taken the lead away from Williams, and he got way loose. A huge snap for the 30 car coming out of turn 4, but a great save to keep that machine going, and that gave momentum to favor of Williams and a Leaf behind him. And now here comes a Leaf with a huge head of steam on the outside.
A Leaf charging on that outside. Going to get right up to the back bumper and start shoving Nanny down the backstretch here. The 30 goes low. The 112 will keep running that higher side. Curious if he gets the run he's looking for here off of turn 4. The 30 is going to close it off, and this battle will continue. Look how close these 4 cars are running. All within 0.2 of a second, all playoff drivers battling for the lead here at Miami.
And looky here, Landon Velicky and Brandon Schulenberger working together to try to get up here. And now they're 3 wide for the lead. It's a Leaf to the outside of his teammate, Williams to the bottom side. DeWale thought about going with a Leaf to keep it 3 wide in the corner. And now those 2 Ball State cars are going to box in Williams to keep him pinched down to the bottom. And now a Leaf to the lead. It's 1, 2, 3 for a Leaf, Nanny, and DeWale, but Williams got an incredible run coming out of turn 4. He is now the leader, but a Leaf, as we've seen, gets these great runs coming out of turn 2. What is he going to have to say about it? Switcheroo.
I am shocked the 123 got so much throttle down off of 4 with such a shallow exit, but it worked out for him well enough. He took the lead that lap. A Leaf now back to the inside will take the lead here, but the 123 of Williams in a must-win situation has the gloves off. He's ready to do battle here with the Leaf side by side on lap 43 here from Miami. The Clemson driver needs a win to make his way to the championship 4. The 12 of a Leaf, he's pretty good on points, but a win would solidify his opportunity to make it. Both of these guys trying to go to Kansas next week, but for right now, trying to get to victory lane at Homestead. I mean, these guys are absolutely battling it out right now. Some terrific stuff at the front of the field. And then Zach DeWale and Daniel Nanny going to do battle for third with a couple of non-playoff drivers in Landon Bellicky and Lucas Moody behind them. Some really good scraps going on all throughout the top 10.
This is the kind of racing that we signed up to see here at Homestead. This is the kind of racing that these drivers love to do. These battles last for 5, 6, 7 laps, maybe even up to 15 laps apiece. You can get around the guy in front of you, but he's going to get back around you in the next couple of corners, and those battles continue and keep going. But Williams now surges back to the lead around a Leaf, who is gaining time on Williams, gets the run off the corner. You can see these kinds of battles happening all up and down the field. This is a phenomenal show tonight, folks.
Yeah, there's some absolutely stellar stuff happening on track here. And at the head of it all right now, it's the 123 of Drew Williams, who right now is looking pretty comfortable up there with a couple of Ball State cars behind him. Now, a bit of change of strategy for DeWale. He's looking to the inside of Daniel Nanny, just behind our leaders here. He had been running that high side the past couple laps, now looking to the inside, as the 30 of Nanny was all over the back bumper of his teammate there off the corner. A little bit of a dangerous place to try and push somebody, but they made it work, and the battle for second between the couple of Cardinal teammates will continue.
And it looks like Halterman has had another off on the front straightaway. No caution comes out as a result. We're going to take a look and see what happens. Oh, he had some help from the 79. Oh, massive hit. No caution, though. I think the field
How is that not a caution?
By. But the 77 is done. He will not be going racing for a title at Homestead. And a battle locked there with Ben Neller at the back of the field, and Neller turns him straight into the wall. My goodness.
I mean, there was some contact between the 077 and the 79 that brought the previous caution. Don't know if that had anything to do with those two cars re-meeting on track there, but I would have to inquire. I'm hoping there was some net code there, because the alternative is frightening.
And Stockner also having some problems. Yeah. So you can see it's all coming apart for OWR. Halterman out of the race, severe damage. He is also out of the championship 4. Stockner looks to be out of this race with significant, if not terminal damage as well. But yeah, you made a great point. The 077 and the 79 made contact to bring out the third caution of the evening. So you hate to see a revenge crash like that, but I'm wondering if maybe there was a no lift and a bad block there thrown to try and get back at the other driver. But we assume the best intentions, of course. But as we look back up towards the front of the field, Daniel Nanny and Drew Williams currently doing battle for the lead, but now it's a Leaf and DeWale battling for the third position, as look who it is, Matt Morton clawing his way back up to 5th place, and he's dragging the 13 and the 100 with him.
Yeah, good battling going up at the front of the field here. So Nanny and Williams 2, and then it's a tight battle for 3, 4, and 5. DeWale, a Leaf, and Morton. All three of these guys in very different situations. Morton already locked in. A Leaf comfortable on points if he finishes this race. And then you've got Zach DeWale, who was on the outside looking in, but with the 077 facing potentially terminal damage on pit road here, all of a sudden anything can happen for that 4th and final spot. So now Jake Cummings and Zach DeWale, I'm sure, are licking their chops right now, figuring out that all of a sudden they have an opportunity to try and point their way in here that seems more realistic than it was just a couple minutes ago. As the 1 and the 12 battling here for third, tight battle between the two. How many times have we seen these two cars scrap with each other this season? Here we are once again, a Leaf and Morton battling it out.
Top 5, pretty much nose to tail. Nanny, Williams, Alif, Morton, DeWale, Lucas Moody, and Jake Cummings, as well as Edward Sanchez. Look at that, coming from the back of the field all the way up to that 8th position. Man, that 26 car has got a rocket on the back of it tonight. Sanchez showing a ton of pace. He might be able to pull it off tonight.
It would certainly be a ton of fun. It would really mess with a lot of playoff predictions coming into it, but he's running really fast right now. There's no doubt about it. He's looking to the inside there of Jake Cummings for 7th. And if he gets around him, he'll be on the back bumper of Moody, who's currently the highest running non-playoff car. Looking in this top 5, though, looks like Morton got on past Alif and DeWale going to battle for 4th here. Morton and Williams side by side for 2nd.
Side by side down the backstretch. Who's it going to be going into turn 3? The bumper advantage is going to go to Matt Morton on the bottom side. Williams pinching him down to the bottom. Only a couple of inches given, but that's the kind of racing that these playoff drivers are going to produce. Williams even taking a shallow line to force Morton down to the bottom. Space is given this time around. Looks like Williams running that middle line. Here he comes to try and get the momentum and the draft coming off of turn 2. What's run is he going to put together? Doesn't look like much of anything, and Morton is going to secure that 2nd position for the time being as he makes his charge to the front of the field to try and go 2 for 3 in the playoff round, as well as Daniel Nance.
So as they run, the one thing I'm noticing here is now, look at this, the 26 gets around both Cummings and DeWale. Edward Sanchez up into the top 5s. The 519 clips the wall there. He'll lose a little bit of ground, but Edward Sanchez is a man on a mission today. Now under a 2nd, and look, all these playoff drivers running nose to tail. He's going to dive in under a leaf here, try and take away that 4th position. Might be able to do it. He's got half a car length ahead. Let's see how much he can roll off the corner here on the inside. Not going to do it that time, but he'll slide right back in behind. That 26 is definitely someone to keep an eye on here tonight. Sanchez and Alif now battling for 4th.
If Edward Sanchez can pull off this victory tonight, I think that would be one of the greatest stories in CIL history. Here's a driver who really only shows up 1 or 2 races a year, has pretty terrible luck on the 1.5-mile tracks and the short tracks, doesn't show a ton of pace, gets caught up in incidents, not under his own regard, and now here he is with a head of steam, trading paint now with Muhammad Alif down the front stretch, as here he's mounting a run to the front of the field for that 26 Baruch College machine. Man, and now he's gotten by Alif. He's got his sights set on Williams. This is now a 3-car battle for the 3rd position. 2 playoff drivers, Williams and Alif, duking it out for the win to lock themselves in the championship 4. And Edward Sanchez, the lone non-bannered car up there, he's still got those blue banners, and he gets loose. Oh, commentator's curse. He loses it, but he saves it. What a phenomenal recovery for Sanchez.
Boy, we almost spoke disaster into existence in real time. That turn 4 exit has been a bit of a trouble spot for a lot of drivers tonight, and I think that's going to be a sign for the 26 to try and settle back in. He was really going hard there to try and get Williams in a lap, and now he needs to take a second, collect himself, try and cool down those tires a little bit, and get back at it. But tight moment there for not only him, but a couple other playoff drivers in that lead pack. If that car actually had gotten sideways and it connected with the 123 and the 12, it effectively would have ended the playoff hopes there for the 123, and all of a sudden the point situation for the 12 would have gotten a lot more spicy. But we charge on. The 26 actually clipped the wall a little bit there, so I think that car is starting to handle a little worse than he would be liking at the moment. But up front, Matt Morton has caught Daniel Nanny. We've got ourselves a battle for the lead here going on the lap 61. Nose to tail, the leaders are.
The screen. Yeah, nose to tail, and Morton all the way back up to the back bumper of Nanny. On an alternate pit strategy, that 1 car for Ohio State, the Buckeye Gaming Collective, got caught up in the big one that brought out our 3rd caution of the evening, some front end damage, but it's not phasing him in the slightest, as the Ohio State car is charging up through the field, and now with the potential to take the lead. These 2 drivers, the only drivers won during the playoff round. These are the 2 drivers that have locked themselves into the championship 4. If one of them wins, then that is going to throw a serious wrench in the plans of some of these other drivers who were on the outside looking in coming into tonight's race and needed that win. Now Morton not giving an inch of space coming off the corner. He's actually got the run from the bottom lane. They're side by side going into turns 3 and 4, and they're going to stay that way through the center until Morton has to lift. Nanny has the advantage and the speed on the high side, but here comes Matt Morton down the low end. He's actually going to get cleared by the 30, and Nanny is going to retain the lead for the time being. Caution comes out on lap 63.
The 26 of Edward Sanchez,
Oh,
I
no.
believe. Oh, the front end's
no.
destroyed on that car. That's a real
was going
tough
so
break
well.
for the Baruch College machine. He was running so well. And then we saw it slowly unravel in real time. And now, instead of unraveling, it's completely come to a head here. Just awful luck for the 26.
Man, that actually physically hurts to see that. He was having the race of his life today, and I'm wondering if it's the exact same thing that we've been seeing all day, maybe stepping out on him in turn 4.
Seems fine there.
And it
Might be the next
once
lap.
again be the lap. Yeah, we might be a lap ahead. Come on, producer Christian, get it together, man. So there you see the 26. Oh, it just snapped on him.
Slide. And he goes to collect it, and instead of turning
gosh.
into Lucas Moody, he tries collecting it the other way, turns it up into the outside wall. Heavy contact, and everyone's going to get on by below him. Looks like that's going to be a single car incident there for the 26, but heavy contact to the outside wall, and his day might be done.
We're going to ride on board with him here. You're going to see the car just break loose coming out of the corner. Yeah. He saved it once, but you can't save it twice. And into the wall he goes. And his day looks like it'll be done. Gosh, I hate that for him.
Yeah, that's a tough break there, but a very interestingly timed caution for our leaders. If we were expecting the pit window to be about 60 laps here tonight, we're about 60 laps from the finish. So in theory, you could come down pit road now, and it might be the last time you need to stop, but look at just the row of cars missing the front end here. They just reattached the 37 of Wembley's, but Halterman, that car's banged up. Stockner, that car's banged up. Sanchez, that car's banged up. I mean, it's just an absolute graveyard here on pit row right now.
And speaking of the graveyard, right there, that car up front, Clint Halterman involved in that incident about 10, 15 laps ago. Didn't bring out a caution, but got head on into the outside. Take us through your perspective on what happened in that crash.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit I saw Neller coming behind me, and I wanted to kind of show I wasn't, very happy that he took me out. I mean, obviously he didn't intentionally take me out in the last caution, but I wasn't happy about it. My car was pretty messed up, so it was decided he got a run at me. I decided I'm just gonna go to the bottom here. I kind of block him, but I wasn't gonna chop him off or make contact with him. And probably shouldn't have done that. Probably got the best of me there, but he also gassed it up going into 3 to wipe me out. I didn't chop him off or anything. I was just kind of driving down there, but I don't know. I shouldn't have done it. Just ruined my race more. But I was upset that I got involved in someone else's mess there and kind of ruined my whole race before I even really got going. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of probably made my own grave there by trying to do that. But if you listen to the onboard, he gasses it up going into 3 to do there, and I'm not. I don't know. I'm just frustrated.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and it's I think very understandable with definitely not the race you wanted here tonight. Any chance that car gets back on track, or is it done for the evening?
Nope, motor's killed. It's how much repairs? Got 23 minutes of required, so yeah, gonna be pretty much season over basically.
Well, certainly a tough break there for you, Clint, but still have one more race next week at Kansas. It may not end up being for the championship when it's all said and done, but still an opportunity to try and end the season on a high note.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, thanks for joining us, Clint, and we'll see you next week. Hate that it turned out this way for you.
Yep, see you guys.
That was the 077 of Clint Halterman. Crashed out about 16 or so laps ago by virtue of making contact with the 70 Ben Neller. Those two drivers having contact earlier on in the race, that previous caution, and you heard him say that it was just defense gone wrong. It was a very aggressive move, so stewards are definitely going to have a look at that and maybe a talk with both of those drivers. But as we zoom back up here to the current moment, it's Matt Morton to the outside of Daniel Nanny, who is going to retain the lead and hit the gas zone. Terrible restart for 7 of Brandon Schulenberger on the inside line, but we are back to racing once again at Homestead.
And we still have a lot of action to go here. I mean, we still have at least 50 laps in this race. I mean, definitely more than that, but still a lot of time to get things settled here from Homestead, Miami. So the opening act has only just concluded. There's still a whole second act of this race to go, and it feels like so much has already happened in the early going. I'm curious to see what they've got in store for us here in the back half as we're looking in this top 6-7 cars. Now jumping a little farther on back. Cummings battling out with Kelton Quick and Lucas Moody. That 100 machine now with the 077 officially out of this race. All of a sudden, the target jumps to the 519 of Zach DeWale, who's currently 3 positions ahead of him. He would need to beat DeWale by 4 positions, so right now he's trailing the 519 by 7 points. So some work to do there, but he's going to try and get back up there and see what he can do against some of these guys. So jump a little farther up in front here. A Leaf going to look to the high side of Williams. Morton on the back door of Daniel Nanny here. These two cars have been the class of the field this playoff round. Nanny winning 2 weeks ago at Darlington, Morton last week at Vegas, and now they run 1-2 here at Homestead, Miami, with a very hungry Drew Williams behind him, who needs this win to keep advancing in the Flexware College Cup Series here. Even with the 077 out of the race here, it only brings him to minus 19 from the cut line as opposed to minus 23. So a win is very much needed for the 123 tonight if he's going to advance. And Muhammad Alif, that cut line got even farther away from him as far as to the good. He was 12 good. Now you can make it 16. So things looking good for Alif to make the next round of the postseason as well. As Matt Morton now looking to the inside of Daniel Nanny, the lead, he will take that spot away. And the 1 back to the point here on lap 71 going on to 72.
Yeah, Matt Morton out in front. He has officially recovered from his pit strategy and his crash earlier on in the race. The number 1 in position, number 1, Daniel Nanny just behind him, but it's Alif and Williams side by side through the corner. Alif is going to make his way around Williams. So that battle is going to be pretty much complete for the time being, but still a lot of positions trading back and forth towards the back half of the top 10 as they come out of turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Daniel Nanny right on the back bumper of Morton here. Half a car length gap. Alif and Williams side by side on the front stretch. They'll fan out. Alif has been a big proponent of trying to run that high line and going to starts. Williams has been a big proponent of running all the way down on the apron. It's been a big contrast of styles. Seems to work out there for the 12. He'll get the good run he needs and take away that 3rd position. And now the top 5 all nose to tail on that white line representing the bottom of the track here. They're all going to get single filed up, and they've got Jake Cummings just behind them. See Alif and Williams battling on track. Also on screen there, on screen. Alif on your left, Williams on your right. On track there, Williams down low, Alif up high.
Alif is really enjoying that high line at the moment. He's got a ton of pace up there, a lot of speed, especially coming out of turn 2. He's got something figured out in that high 2 that he's using advantage. But in 3 and 4, he really prefers that bottom lane. So Alif has already figured out where his car really vibes and where he wants his car to be throughout tonight's race.
Yeah, he really has. And this battle continues each lap. It seems like the 12 gets the run he should need, but then the 123 is just able to dive it right back in and keeps this to be a very entertaining battle for third here. A big contrast to styles. I'm curious who's going to eventually bail on it. Now Alif down to the inside here in 3 and 4. He likes to seem to run 1 and 2 up high, but 3 and 4 down low here. I don't know if it's a defensive measure or if the car's running better there or what, but running different lanes on each side of the track here. But now this time goes to the inside of 1 and 2. Zach DeWale will go up high.
There's another car that likes that high line. He's been running it pretty much all night, the 519. He's been ripping that wall a la Kyle, just like our Muhammad Alif. And now the same thing that we saw about 30 laps ago. It's Alif and Williams side by side. DeWale with the run down the backstretch gives the bump to his teammate Williams. Williams a little bit loose coming out of turn 4. That's the same spot that Edward Sanchez lost it just a few laps ago. So it looks like some drivers really struggling to put the grip down, to put the power with the grip and to put the power down coming out of the corner.
It's also where the 79 started getting into issues in the initial incident that collected a couple of the playoff drivers earlier on in this race.
True.
He got a little loose off of 4, and as he went to go catch it is where he made contact with the 077. So that seems to be the big struggle spot for drivers at the moment, is trying to get the power down in 4 without overdoing it. And it's been easier said than done here tonight as this battle for third just getting absolutely logjammed behind. DeWale, Lucas Moody, Jay Cummings, all within striking distance as well. I mean, this battle just refuses to end. Neither driver able to get the better of the other. Alif will clear the 123 for now, but will it stay that way for long is the question.
I don't think so, because here comes Williams with a run up the middle. Huge run, actually, on entry of the corner, and that run's going to stay with him as they come out of the corner. He's going to get a huge head of steam coming down the front stretch as he now passes Alif. These guys are trading positions back and forth, over and over again. And now here comes the 519 of Zach DeWale. And actually a great move there. That was a great move from Zach DeWale to get right up to the back bumper of the 12. Alif very slow coming off of turn 2. And now DeWale down to the bottom. Looks like the 26 of Sanchez has come back out on track, but some handling issues for that car as he goes into the wall. Veliky doing a great job to miss him on corner exit. But the top 6 now nose to tail for position.
Yeah, here goes Lucas Moody trying to roll that high side around the 519. He's got a good bit of momentum there. He might take that spot away, and he is clear. He will move into the top 5 here. Lucas Moody did not make the playoffs this year, but he did qualify in the top 4 here today. That 13's got a ton of pace, qualified 3rd. Now worked his way back up into the 5th position. He is not someone to sleep on here today. He may not be up battling for the lead right now, but we know that car's got some pace, and he's continuing to work his way through traffic here. This could be an opportunity for Lucas Moody to maybe start challenging for the lead sooner rather than later, if he can get around the 519 of DeWale and his teammate in Alif. Oh, sideways!
DeWale turns him!
My goodness, the commentator's curse strikes again. My goodness. I tell you what, producer Christian's been right on the spot here with most of these cautions tonight. I mean, we are watching these unfold in real time. That is some crazy stuff, so. Lucas Moody doesn't look like the car is too damaged, but that is certainly going to bring out a caution here on lap 82.
Yeah, you saw that happen right as it. You saw that go down right as it happened live. Chalk that one up as another in the commentator's curse column for this season. I'm telling you, if somebody wants to go through and make a compilation of all of our commentators' curse moments this season, that would be an incredibly long
Just do
video.
this race. We've got like 3.
I think that's our hat trick. We just need to pack it up and go home, man.
Yeah, I guess we've reached that weird spot of the race where you don't want to, you don't want us talking about you as a driver at the moment. Doesn't seem to be working out too well. But here comes the battle, the 519 and the 13. So this happens coming off of turn 2. You see them make their way into turn 1 here. And coming off of turn 2 is where this starts, but the actual wreck is entering 3.
There you see DeWale not giving an inch of space to the 13. And I think I might want to chalk that up to a clear, not clear situation, kind of like we saw at the beginning of the race with I believe it was Jason Wallet and Andrew Stagey all the way at the very beginning of this event. But we're going to ride on board with Wingate University's Jake Cummings.
Jake Cummings, yeah.
And watch this unfold. And yeah, that's exactly what it was. Two drivers giving each other an inch of space. Race Control ultimately is the one who finds, but man, I think that's just an instance of hard racing.
That's a tough break here for the 13. It looks like he was trying to get down into the corner maybe a little early. Maybe not. Both of those cars looked pretty straight going into the corner, and maybe they just both ran out of real estate there.
I think the Whale tried to pinch him behind a leaf going into the corner, and the 13 might have thought he had more space than what was given. But that's not for us to decide. So we'll leave that to the stewards up in the race control booth.
There's a reason I've never become a steward there, Zach. I don't envy their job in the slightest. But they'll get that sorted out and figure out how they want to approach that situation.
Yep, and there it is. Word from race control: racing incident. No further action.
Yeah, and I think that's the right way to go about it.
I think that's
it was a razor thin margin, and sometimes that just happens. You know, you're racing at almost 180 miles an hour, 3 inches apart from each other. Occasionally, the 3 inches become 0 inches.
Well, and Zach DeWale, I think, dodged a bullet right there for two reasons. Number one, he wasn't the car that went around. Number two, he missed the end of line penalty that we gotten for potentially being at fault. So, the one toe or one finger of the monkey's paw curls for that 519 machine.
I'm looking at the cars here in the top 4. You've got Matt Morton, who was our leader. Edwin and Ofray with some strategy has moved up to second. And then Charles Wimbley rolling in third here with that cut line changing the way it did with Halterman out of the race. It pulled Wimbley, instead of being 10 points back, to now just 6. 7. Math is a tough one to do. Yeah, instead of it being 10 points back, he's only 7 points back now. And he is about 4 positions clear of Zach DeWale right now. So Charles Wimbley is very much in this mix to try and point his way in as well.
Yeah, with Halterman crashing out of the race earlier, that means that DeWale, who was 3 points under the cut line coming into tonight's event, he is now the cutoff car. Cummings 4 points behind DeWale, so Cummings has to beat DeWale by 4 positions if he wants to make it in. And if you're Charles Wimbley, you have to beat DeWale by 7 positions if you want to point your way in. So all of these factors still very much a possibility as the laps are winding down. We are now officially in the second half of tonight's race, closing in on the 3/4 mark. But it is Matt Morton to the inside, the leader. To the outside, Edwin Onofre, that UNT machine, working his way up to second. And then Charles Williams, Muhammad Alif, your top 6 as they hit the Geico restart zone, and we're back to racing here at Homestead.
Fanning out big time going into turn 1. Almost a scary moment there, but they get it sorted out. 3 wide up there for second. Wimbley going to shoot the gap and take away that second spot. Edwin and Ofre are going to fall back to 4th. Daniel Nanny nearly got a piece of all 3 of them going into turn 1. That was a scary moment for all those cars, but we race on. Looks like Williams going to go back to that low side that he's been using so much on these restarts. And Ofre up high. He's going to follow the 7 sideways. Schulenberger sideways off of turn 4.
Oh, he did! Unbelievable.
And even more miraculously, they have not thrown the yellow flag. So Brandon Schulenberger is just going to have to get back up the speed here. But we continue racing.
3 wide for, is that third? I believe that is third, yes. Nanny pinching Williams all the way down to the bottom side. 2 cars running in a battle. Now Nanny going to wash out, but he doesn't have anywhere to go thanks to Edwin Onofre, who gets a huge draft from the 37 of Wembley, and they're still going to be 3 wide going into.
They bounce off each other through 1 and 2. Now Williams going to pull ahead here. He's looking to get ahead of the 37 as well. He'll take away second position. Daniel Nanny going to try and follow him through as well. Here we go. Everyone shuffling around second through sixth here. It's tough to tell where everybody is. They keep swapping spots every 2 seconds. But Williams and Nanny, they've been bouncing off each other a little bit here the past couple laps. It's getting really physical between these 2 cars. Curious how it's going to get settled out here. Nanny takes away the second spot for now. Williams will fall back to third. He's going to try and use the draft here on the backstretch to reel in the 30.
Well, this is what every position means for these playoff drivers. Of course, Nanny and Morton already locked in. Williams needs a win tonight to lock himself in, but every position that he can put between himself and the other is a point to his advantage. But he would really love to have an opportunity to get up to the number 1 car of Matt Morton, especially because we have at least 1 more pit stop to make before the end of this race, which I think we're going to start cars come down pit road in probably the next 15 laps or so to get their stop to make it to the end of the race, as we have just hit 43 laps remaining in this event when they come across the line. Producer Christian telling me that Jason Wallet, Matt Norton, and Edward Sanchez came down pit road under that caution, most likely to get repairs. But as of right now, all
lap 91 here of 133. Only about 40 laps to go here from Homestead, Miami, the penultimate race of the Flexware College Cup Series season. Right now, Matt Morton leads, but just behind him, we've got a lot of playoff drivers all fighting for positions, and a couple of non-playoff drivers trying to play spoiler here. Guys like Edwin Onofre and Landon Velicki also in the top 10, trying to mix it up with some of these guys who are typically at the front of the field. Morton leads by about a second. There you can see the top 10 as they run. Morton, Nanny, Williams, DeWale, and Cummings, your top 5. Onofre, Alif, Wembley, Velicki, and Stagey right now rounding out that top 10. The field is spread out to about 3 seconds here from 1st through 10th. And everyone now kind of getting into those closing stages of the race, trying to figure out exactly how you can settle in, what do you have left in the car, and is there anything you can do with pit road strategy to try and jump up there and gain a couple extra positions.
Well, the more I think about it, I think these drivers are going to try to make this last as long as they can. I mean, we haven't even hit the lap 100 mark yet, so there's still a decent amount of race then. But I think these drivers are really going to try and get settled into the positions that they are. Or if you're Drew Williams, right, 30 before you come to pit road, just to have that track position advantage when you do come down. Now, if we see a caution come out at some point from here to the end of the race, expect pit road to be a very, very, very busy place for the money stop.
Yeah, most of these cars are probably going to want to bring it down for 1 more set of tires and making sure they have enough fuel to the end here if they don't already have that set up. I'm going to be curious to see when they make their way down pit road. If they do, I'd imagine lap 100-ish would be a popular time to do so. As this field's starting to get separated a little bit and we start to figure out who did the best job saving their tires and whose tires have been a bit burnt out. I'd imagine we're seeing the 1 really open up this lead because the 30 and the 123 were battling as much as they have, but the draft's starting to play an effect here for the 30. He's closed in about a tenth of a second that lap. And here comes Daniel Nanny, maybe starting to close the deal just a little bit here. That gap now closer to half a second than a second, which it was a couple laps ago. He is definitely starting to make some forward progress here on Morton.
I was about to say, not so fast there, my friend. That gap is coming down relatively quickly, about a half tenth per corner. That number 30 car is catching up to the 1. So we may see ourselves a battle for the lead but come down pit road. So I think if you're the number 1 car, Matthew Morton, you're going to want to come down as quickly as possible, or maybe right when that number 30 car gets to your back bumper. And if you're Nanny, you want to try and come down with the 1 to continue the battle so that it doesn't really rely on your pit stop as much. Now, if you're any of these drivers in the top 5, you have 2 options. Either you can play it safe and come down pit road with the leader, or you could try and pit off cycle, maybe a little bit later or a little bit earlier to try the undercut or the overcut to play some tire games and strategies. But as we approach the lap 100 mark, we're on lap 98, only 2 more until we hit lap 100. I think it's prime time for a crank it up. That's something we haven't done tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to let these V8s do some talking for a couple laps and enjoy this CIL full send. Working on lap 105 of 130 tonight's Miami 200 from Homestead Miami Speedway. In case you've missed it up until this point, this is the cutoff race playoffs. We will be cutting to our championship 4 at the end of this event. Currently, our leader, Daniel Nanny, one of 2 drivers locked into the championship 4 already. Matthew Morton, another one of those cars. Now, here's one, Andrew Williams, one of the cars on the outside looking in, coming into tonight's race. He needs a win to make his way into the championship 4. And he's putting the side skirts to Matt Morton's car, shoved him out of the way to take away that second position. They're starting to trade paint now, Alex. It's getting down to crunch time. We're inside 30 laps to go.
Oh, the caution's out.
Oh, and the caution comes out on lap 106, and that is going to change everything.
Where is this caution originating from is the question. Looks like the 076 of Matt Norton trying to get back up to speed. He might be one of the cars involved in this is the prime time for the money stop. 25 laps to go to the end. One more stop to put tires and fuel on, then give your driver some time to get out there and go to work. Pit crews are about to be really busy, I think, but we're going to see if we can hunt down that replay to see what happened to the 076.
Running with a 13 of Lucas Moody on the high side. And, ooh, Nordberg really slippery there coming off the corner. Here's the 88 of Stagey.
Whoa!
Nordberg tried to throw the block. That didn't work. Stagey goes into the wall. Nordberg able to keep it straight. And the 99 of Edwin Onofre, what a miss.
It looked like Nordberg was down a little lower on the track and was trying to go up. But then as Stagey tries to go down, the 076 tries to get back down, I guess, to try and take away the line or something. And just bounces off him. That was a very late block attempt there, and it did not work out for either driver. So that's the 88 of Andrew Stagey. I mean, he came into this with basically a must-win scenario tonight, and he's had his hands full of that car ever since the drop of the green flag. He's been battling damaged race car conditions basically all night, and that's certainly not going to help matters at all.
And it looks like the whole field did come down pit road. Who won the race off pit road? Who is going to be in control for this restart? It's Jake Cummings. Holy moly, what a stop for that 100 car. And a little bit of a congratulatory tap from his teammate, Edward Sanchez, behind him. Sanchez led about 25 laps at the very beginning of tonight's race. But his teammate, Jake Cummings, now up there in that top spot. And I think did he stay out? I think he stayed out.
Producer Christian is checking to see if the 100 actually came down pit road that time by.
That is going to be a gutsy call if that's the case. But the winner off of pit road are Muhammad Alif, his teammate Daniel Nanny just behind him, and then Matt Morton. So a great race off of pit road. Pit stop strategies coming into play. Possibly some 2-tire stops towards the end of this race, depending on how worn those left sides are. But yeah, there's the confirmation. Jake Cummings staying out on these older tires and that fuel tank. He thinks he can make it to the end of the race. I wonder, when was his last pit lap? We are
the
checking.
100. I feel like he puts himself in a tough position here because it's not like this is going to be a green-white checkered attempt. I mean, those tires have about 25 laps of wear on them already. Last came down at lap 82. So those tires are pretty worn in at this point. And he has a long way to go if he's going to try and hold on to this thing till the end of it. And granted, the win was going to be the best way for him to lock himself in, but with Halterman being out, he had a legitimate chance to try and make it on points if he finished a few positions ahead of Zach DeWale. And now my concern for Cummings here is that there's too much time left in this race for this strategy to pay dividends.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm a fan of this call. Right now, as it stands, Cummings is going playoff racing, racing for a championship. He will make the championship 4 because he is exactly positions in front of Zach DeWale, but that is going to change in probably less than 2 or 3 laps. 25 laps on these tires is a lot of time, and Jake Cummings is going to feel this one really, really quickly, I think.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's gambling on the fact that it won't be too big of a difference. I just think there's a lot of time left in this race, and he may have just taken himself out of it when it matters most, unless it's a very caution-heavy run to the end, which is also entirely possible. But
cautions do, in fact, breed cautions here in the Flexware Cup Series.
That they do, but you can see our lineup here. Cummings and a Leaf, Nanny and Morton, Williams and DeWale, Veliky and Wembley, your top 8 cars. And then I think it's Nordberg and Burl. So bit of a mix there in the top 10, but the green flag is back out. And for maybe the last time here tonight, we'll find out. We are racing once again in Miami. Jake Cummings leads them to 1 and 2.
There's so much on the line here for Jake Cummings. He got his 1 win at the very beginning of the season. Didn't see the podium, but just a couple of times.
Whoa, the 62
that,
of Veliky's way
62
sideways.
Shoots to the inside of the track, saves it. What great hands from that Auburn driver. But yeah, Cummings, a win here would be phenomenal for him. That would solidify him as a Championship 4 contender, pretty much giving him the chance to bookend his season. There's an extremely impressive move from Andrew Williams to the inside. They're going to be 3 wide going into the corner. Nanny has taken the lead. They're going to be
4 wide
for second place. It's a Leaf, Cummings, Morton, and Williams. 4 wide. I don't know how they made that work.
That was some incredible stuff there, but it's not done yet. They're still 3 wide here behind a Leaf. Now Cummings to the high side. Morton and Williams going to battle it out there on the inside lanes. The older tires for Cummings immediately starting to make him fall back deeper into the field here. Didn't help, though, that he had to deal with some of the most aggressive driving all night here from the lead pack. Daniel Nanny was able to shoot out to a nearly second advantage with all that battling for second on back. But now, I mean, we're watching these cars try and get us over. They're still 2 wide in a good chunk of the field here. Williams and Morton going to battle it out again for third. Cummings now trying to get into the mix with DeWale.
If Nanny wins this race, then that means 2 drivers are going to be able to point their way in. If we have a new leader or a new winner in a Leaf or Williams or DeWale, then that means there's only going to be 1 point position in the Championship 4. Who is it going to go to? How is this going to shake out? We've only got 20 laps to decide this. 30 miles until we cut to our Championship 4. The entire season of work for these playoff drivers is going to come down to this last little stint. Muhammad Alif, 2 wins this season, both on road courses, yet to really prove himself on the 1.5 miles this season by finishing in victory lane, and he's going to fall victim to the 123 of Drew Williams, who is desperately seeking that first win this season, that first win in the College Cup Series in the next-gen car, and it would be the most clutch win in his career to give him a shot at a second College Cup Series title. But here comes Matt Morton off the front bumper of Muhammad Alif. If Morton or Nanny win, then it's going to be 2 points paying positions. But Drew Williams now with a 1 second gap to Nanny ahead. Time is ticking for that 123 Clemson car. Can he do it? He's got the 1 to deal with behind him in the time being.
Yeah, right now he's got a mirror full of Matt Morton behind him. Morton's already locked in. Whether he wins this race or not, it doesn't matter. He'll be racing for a championship next week at Kansas. The bigger question is going to be if Drew Williams can get up to the back bumper of Nanny. He's cut about 1/10 of a second off that gap over the past couple laps, but still a lot of work to do here if he's going to catch Daniel Nanny, who's got a lot of clean air in front of him. It is now 17 laps to go here from Homestead, Miami, and it is going to be anyone's bet if someone can make it happen here. Battle for second. Morton looking to the inside of Drew Williams.
I was going to say Williams cut off about 1/10 of Nanny's lead until he got side by side with Morton. Williams really favoring that very bottom lane through turns 1 and 2, but Morton able to take it away from him that time. And it looks like Williams going to get a bit of a better run through the center. Morton gets the power down earlier, though. This is going to be a drag race down the front stretch, although the advantage continues to go the way of Williams. And what he needs to do is he needs to set his sights on the back bumper of Nanny. He needs to keep his eyes away from his rearview mirror and just put your damn foot down and drive the thing. Come on, Drew. You can do it, buddy.
The biggest question mark is going to be here is if he can get within drafting range of Nanny. If he can close a couple more tenths in, the natural draft of these cars is going to let the 123 close in even more. But the big bubble right now is that couple tenths gap between where he's currently running and where the tail end of the draft picks up from the rear end of the 30. As we've got 15 laps to go here from Homestead. That gap about 9/10 of a second right now. Closest it's been in a couple laps. Williams and Morton continuing to close the gap just a little bit. But they are still way away right now from the 30 of Nanny, who is trying to put his head down and pick up his 4th victory of the season and 2nd of this playoff round. And I'm looking at this timing table there, Zach, as we're seeing the 2nd and 3rd place car try and track down our leader here. The strategy I do not believe worked for Jake Cummings. He has fallen outside the top 10.
Yeah, these two drivers right here, the 123 and the 1, those are your two fastest drivers on the track, as the 1 now to the inside of the 1. Morton trying to take away that 2nd position from Williams. The storybook Cinderella end to the season, maybe out of grasp for Williams, as Morton is trying to play spoiler to that at the moment. Morton's already locked in, but he doesn't care. He still wants that momentum and those positions going in. He knows that Williams is a very, very strong contender on these 1.5 miles, especially at Kansas. So Morton gets the advantage here by Williams not qualifying. But Nanny right now, that lead still coming down. These guys are just putting in insane lap times at the moment, about a 0.5 tenth per lap. That lead is coming down. Now, it's one thing, like we said all season, it's one thing to get to the back bumper of the guy in front of you, but it's something completely different to pass him. And if this pace keeps up, we are going to be on for an absolutely incredible finish to this race.
Matt Morton is within range to start getting some drafting help from the 30 of Daniel Nanny. And Williams going to try and ride the draft of Matt Morton here, so the 3 of them may begin to accordion toward each other. We'll have to see. The Williams machine does not seem to have the pace it did when Morton was behind him. He is starting to fall out of contention a little bit here as Matt Morton has closed another 10th off the lead here, the Daniel Nanny. We could have ourselves a real battle for the race win in a few laps. 11 laps to go. Morton now less than 0.5 seconds behind Nanny and closing rapidly.
Here we go, folks. Strap in your seats or stand up because you might not need them. This is going to be an incredible finish. It's Nanny and Ball State out front. Matt Morton and Ohio State just behind him. In fact, under 0.5 second now, that lead has come down by 0.5 second as the leader's dodging some lap traffic here. And it's another 7/10 to Williams in that 3rd position. He's had a phenomenal race tonight, but it looks like it's going to be too little, too late for that 123 car as the battle for the win now comes down to the 30 and the 1. 10 to go that time by.
The gap now only 2 car lengths between the rear bumper of the 30 and the nose of the 1. Matt Morton has some of the best long-run speed of any driver in the Flexware College Cup Series and is trying to make this come to fruition here as they now tick away into the single digits with laps remaining. The 1 has 5 wins this season as he flies up back bumper of the 30. He's looking for win number 6 on the year. Daniel Nanny's got 3. He's looking for win number 4. They're both locked into the championship next week, but this could be a real statement against each other. Who will have the upper hand? Matt Morton is there. He is on the back bumper of the 30, and it'll be 8 laps to go this time by. Daniel Nanny, Matt Morton going to duke it out here for the win in Miami.
I'm calling my shot right here. One of these two drivers is going to walk away as your Season 10 Flexware College Cup Series champions. It's just a matter of who gets the better finish next week at Kansas. Even now, when there's nothing on the line for the drivers, nothing to gain, nothing to lose, but the only thing they gain is pride and getting in the head of their opponent. Nanny, if he wins today, that could be a statement against Matt Morton and trying to win his title. Matt Morton, if he wins today, it could be a statement for Daniel Nanny and his title possibilities. But Nanny, the rookie, versus Morton, the veteran. This is a phenomenal race that we're seeing between these two drivers. It's a chess match with 7 laps to go, and now
Here he
Morton gets
goes.
the advantage. Here he comes to the inside, the side draft down the backstretch. They're going to be side by side into turn 3. They're equal on the brakes going into the corner. Nanny pinches Morton down to the bottom, gets the better run through the center of the corner. Morton now at Nanny's quarter panel as they come out of turn 4. 6 to go as they come across the line this time by.
Matt Morton had the look he wanted coming off of turn 2. He just was not able to get the advantage he wanted through turns 3 and 4. Now maybe a little bit of contact between the leaders as they start bumping into each other off of turn 2. Matt Morton trying to force his way through on the inside. Daniel Nanny giving an inch on the outside. The gloves are off. Here comes the battle for the lead again. Morton to the inside, trying to find that spot. Nanny once again trying to run that middle lane, keep the one from getting a full exit. He'll hold on to the lead. 5 laps to go. Nanny leads over Matt Morton. Morton continues to get set up the run he wants coming off of turn 2. He just doesn't have enough momentum to clear him through 3 and 4. Can he do something differently to clear the 30, or will Daniel Nanny put on an impressive defensive display to hold on for this victory?
Gosh, Nanny is just so good coming out of turn 4. Morton's going to have to try something different if he wants to get around that 30. But leader's advantage, that privilege goes to Nanny, a lane choice. He's going to have the line that he wants. Morton has to drive around the 30 if he wants to take away that win. 4 laps to go that time by. And now Morton does the same as last time. He gets to the inside of the 30.
A little bit of contact.
They're trading paint. One mistake could end both of their nights and possibly give the win to Williams. And neither of these drivers wants to do that. They are leaving it all out on the track to try and take away the win from this race tonight. They're
More
leading
contact.
each other through the corner, banging doors off of one another. And now Morton's going to push the 30 into the wall. The 30 sideways. He saves it. They're side by side coming across the line. 3 to go.
The battle continues here. They somehow kept each other from wrecking off of turn 4. Now Matt Morton half a nose ahead. He cannot clear the 30, though. They'll remain at each other's door coming down the backstretch. Morton trying to side draft and hold on there. More contact on the straightaway this time by. Diving into the corner again, Morton on the inside, trying to figure out what he can do short of punting the 30 out of the way to take that position away. He'll settle back in, and the third and fourth place cars have gained 0.3 of a second over the past couple laps, but there are 2 laps to go here. This could be it.
Morton with another great run into turns 1 and 2. He's there at the back bumper of the 30 car of Nanny. What is he going to do down the backstretch this time? He doesn't get that great of a run. Does he take a look to the inside? Doesn't look like it. He's going to play it smart, ride in the draft of the 30 to get the run off the corner. These 2 drivers leaving everything out there on the track. Out of turn 4, 1 lap to go, coming across the line. Who is going to win it? Both of these drivers locked into the championship 4. They're going to be racing for a title next week at Kansas. Morton sends it to the inside of Daniel Nanny. This is going to be a phenomenal finish. Both of these drivers want this win. They want what's coming to them. They want to get in ahead of the other driver. This could possibly be the biggest statement of the season.
Here we go.
Next week's championship race. Here we go, folks. Morton to the inside. Nanny to the
They're
outside.
leaning on each other.
They lean on each other. They're trading paint. Nanny spins. Nanny spins. Morton's gonna win the race! Unbelievable!
Matt Morton picks it up coming off of turn 4, the 30, sideways across the line. I think he'll get credited for 4th. Drew Williams misses out on the championship 4 by 0.3 of a second. What an unbelievable thing. We got to go back and see the replay of that final corner between Morton and Nanny. Unbelievable stuff.
Wow. I'm speechless. Man, what a race. What a finish. Yes, let's go.
Unbelievable stuff.
Wow.
It's moments like that that make you remember how beautiful of a sport this is when it all comes down to the end of it. I mean, that is stock car racing at its best.
Unbelievable. Oh! 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 We got beef!
I can't say I'm surprised. I'm sure the 30 looks at it as the one cleaned him out in the corner. I'm sure the one looks at it as just racing hard to the finish. ultimately, I think the replay is going to dictate what happens here. Let's take a look, if we can, to see what happened between these two on the final corner.
Oh,
was that some net code? Oh, that's the worst
no.
time for some net code. Oh, no.
Race control has
Did net code
decided,
just decide that the race... Oh, boy.
and race control has decided preliminarily that that incident will be chalked down to net code. So no action will be taken at the end of this race, pending appeals from the drivers. So these results will stand as official. And these drivers are not happy with each other. Oh man.
No, they're not. But also, I mean, like, you could see it coming off the corner there. Those two cars were not making contact when the back end kicked out on the 30. The worst time for iRacing netcode to become a factor in this race. Especially because they had been leaning on each other so much today. And there wasn't an issue. But coming off of turn 4 on the final lap is when they deemed it to be netcode would take over. That's a brutal situation. Daniel Nanny, the luxury he has at least is that he's already locked in to the College Cup Series championship race next week. But man, is that just a brutal turn of events.
So what is he? So he actually 180s on the front stretch, turns the car around, and just, oh gosh.
Yikes.
That is going to be a very, very tough call to make for the stewards. If Nanny is found to be guilty of retaliation, that is a 1-race suspension, and he will not be racing at Kansas for a championship. That could be massive. But before we get to that and break it down,
I also don't know if I can, like... Yeah, sorry. I didn't realize we were just jumping in.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that for another conversation after all of our interviews, but we are gonna go ahead and talk to our winner tonight, Matt Morton. For the 6th time this season, you're in victory lane. You made the statement win here with 1 race left before the championship race. Congratulations on the win. What a phenomenal fight there in the last probably 15, 20 laps against Nanny.
Yeah, it was a good battle. He was definitely one of the top guys tonight, and knowing I had to chase him down there at the end was going to be tough, but I knew I had it in me. But once I got there, I knew it was going to be really hard to pass. So going into 3, I knew I was going to have to rough him up a little bit, but unfortunately, the run of the line was a little bit ruined there with the net code, so it's unfortunate, but I knew I was going to have to send it in a little harder to get the win tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was a phenomenal battle there at the end. We were on the edge of our seats. 2 straight wins for you now going into the championship race at Kansas next week. What does that do for your momentum, knowing that you've got what it takes to not only win, but go out there and when it matters the most, go out there and take the victory away so late in the race? Does that give you some confidence going into next week, knowing that that's a situation you might find yourself in again?
I think it definitely gives me some confidence heading into the championship, just knowing I'm able to show up when it counts in the playoffs. We had a good run at Darlington too, so all 3 races kind of just clicked, and I think hopefully that momentum can just carry over to the championship, and hopefully we can round out another solid performance.
Well, Matt, statement made as you win 2 of the 3 playoff round races, 2 in a row as you head into Kansas next week. Is there any doubt that you're going to be the one to lift the Flexware College Cup Series title for the 2nd season in a row?
I'm not going to go out there and say I'm going to win, but I know it's going to be a good race no matter what. Kansas was a fun track to race last season with the wall line and how you're going to manage your equipment. So hopefully that'll be a good race. Hopefully we can just carry over the performance we've had in the playoffs and bring it there.
Well, congratulations on your very, very hard-fought win tonight, albeit not without controversy. Put a really good finish for us and a good show for us at the end. you know the deal. Anybody you'd like to thank or shout out while we're here on?
Shout out to you guys and everybody behind the scenes at CIL. It's awesome to race in a league like this. Shout out my friends and family for supporting me, doing what I do. Shout out to Andrew and Daniel there. It was fun battling them throughout the race. They had good pace. And yeah, that's about it tonight.
Well, congratulations, Matt, and we will see you at Kansas next week in the championship race.
Thank you guys. Go Bucks.
And right there at the end, when it counts, you can always count on Matt Morton to be there to take a stab at the win. And unfortunately tonight, the netcode gods giveth and the netcode gods taketh, and it went in favor of Matt Morton. But a really hard, very hard fought, very well-deserved win for that number 1 car tonight.
Yeah, just crazy stuff there at the line. And I mean, it's brutal to have the race end with code incident like that, with how good that battle was the whole time. But either way, I mean, it's still terrific racing at the end there. And both of them, you're going to have an opportunity to duke it out one more time at Kansas next week.
How about let's go ahead and talk to our runner-up finisher tonight, Drew Williams, Clemson University. Out of all the second-place finishes you've had, I'm pretty sure this one's gotta hurt the most.
No, man, I mean this one was brutal. It we fought kicking and screaming to get to the front, to run for the win. We called it like 10 laps to go. I knew Morton and Andy were going to crash on the last lap. It was about just getting close enough to be there. And I mean, if I'm 2/10 closer, I got this race in the bag, and we're going to Final Four. So it sucks. It sucks. It really sucks. But I'm just happy we had a good car. Happy we had Final Four pace.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about what to even ask you here. I mean, you've had such an up and down past couple races. Ultimately, you've finished with a really good run here today, a hair short. But you know, how do you look at this season as a whole with the ups and downs that you've had? How do you view everything that's happened to this point as you head to the last race of the season next?
Man, I mean, this season's been a lot of up and down. I truly if there was a missed rings kind of season, then this was probably it. I had pace, I had winning pace at some of these races, and just couldn't get it done against the big guys. But overall, I mean, without the Moza failure, we probably make Final Four, and that's what I'm going to remember from the whole season, is that the Moza got us here at the end. So, but you know, we work with what we got, and just going to give everything, go try and win Kansas. You know, we came 100 feet short last time, so picking up a win at the end of the season and spoiling it for the Final Four will be awesome.
Well, that's certainly something that we would look forward to seeing. We have not had a separate winner in race winner and championship winner. You like Kansas. It's a track that I think plays into your strengths. So is that something that you're hoping for next week to finish the season off on a high note and play spoiler?
Oh yeah, no, I think I'm super strong at Kansas. I think this is another one of those tracks where I can take the fight to Nanny and Alif and Morton. But yeah, the Whale's going to be a threat there. That guy was a speed demon last season.
Well, congratulations on another incredible run this season, and a great finish to cap off tonight's race. You know the drill. While we've got you here, anybody you'd like to?
Of course, I want to thank everybody that showed up for Orange Roll Racing tonight, and all my Clemson alumni racing with me. And of course, huge shout out to Zach DeWale for making the Final Four, man. Go get him.
Thanks for joining us, Drew, and we'll talk to you next week, hopefully.
Thank you.
That was second place finisher tonight from Clemson University, Drew Williams. Second place has pretty much been the story of his College Cup Series career in the next gens, and second place bit him tonight. And like you said, if he had just a few more tenths, he'd be going racing at the championship 4.
Yeah, I mean, it was so close for him, and yet not to be this time around. It's a tough break for sure, but he had a lot of speed, and I still think he's a decent chance potentially to win next week at Kansas. Although if he does win next week at Kansas, I think it's going to sting more than it's going to be a sweet feeling.
Let's go ahead and talk to our final driver this evening, Zach DeWale from St. Clair College, third place finish. We think that is good enough for you to have made it in the championship 4 on points. Congratulations on a great finish, a great race tonight.
Yeah, thank you. It was exhausting. I love this track. It's a lot of fun. Like I was saying last week, I was really looking forward to this one. Wish we could have been up there for a win. Just, made too many mistakes getting sideways, and I hit put it in the wall a couple times. But man, yeah, it was a crazy finish at the end.
I mean, yeah, it was crazy stuff there at the end with the leaders. You were able to capitalize, close in, and ultimately you got the points you needed to advance to Kansas next week. You one of 2 drivers who point in along the 12 of R. Muhammad Alif. If it's you, Alif, Morton, and Nanny, what's the approach next week going into to Kansas, knowing that you've got a shot?
Man, those guys are all very, very fast, and I just got to put the time in this week to have a shot at out racing them. Really, I feel good about Kansas. I ran well there last season. Just got to put the time in, and just hope that I can bring it to Morton. Especially that guy's on another level, so to be able to have the chance to try and beat him is going to be cool. But I'm gonna have to win. I think just gonna have to go and win the damn race. Excuse me.
Well, I believe this is the 4th time that you have made the championship 4 here in the Flexware Cup Series, and almost every time you finish runner-up, I think. So yeah, I hate to tell you that, but I'm the stats guy, just being honest here. But is that going to have any effect on how you approach this race next week, or are you just going to go out there and give it all the shot?
It is.
What's your best shot?
It is on my mind, but obviously you can't let that kind of thing get in the way of having a good performance. So try not to think about it. Thankfully today and next week I'll have Ryan Whitlock up on the box for me, so helping keep my head on straight. So that'll be a lot of help to keep that out of my mind and just try and have a good run and keep it clean and be there at the end. I think is going to be the big thing.
Well, congratulations on a phenomenal result tonight. Able to point your way into the championship 4, we believe. We will confirm in just a few minutes here, but we got to finish. We got to wrap up this interview before. And you know the drill. Anybody you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, for sure. First and foremost, I got to thank Ryan Whitlock, who's fought for me today, crew chief, mental coach. Made me a new paint for today's race, which is really cool. It's based on an old go-kart I used to run when I was younger.
Oh.
It was very, very cool. I'm very thankful to him for all the help he gave me this week. Trent and Chloe, who always watch, Emily, Riley, Jordan, all the OWR guys, of course. Man, it's a long race. It's been a long season. Hopefully we can get that win again. That'd be nice.
Well, congratulations again, and we will see you in Kansas next week.
Yes, sir.
That was our 3rd place finisher tonight from St. Clair College, Zach DeWale, with a great finish that we believe is enough to put him in the championship 4. And I believe, Alex, that time has come. We know that Matt Moore is going racing for a title. We know that Daniel Nanny is going racing for a championship, but who is going to join them?
Yeah, well, taking a look at the word that we received from the league admins, it does appear that the 2 other cars that will be joining Matt Morton and Daniel Nanny will be the number 12 machine of R. Muhammad Alif, who came into today with a 12-point advantage on the point side. He did enough to advance to the next round tonight. So 2 Ball State cars will be fighting for the championship next week. And the 4th and final car who makes it based off of the run he had today, we just talked to him. It is the driver of the 519, Zach DeWale from St. Clair College, will be the 4th and final member. So 2 Ball State Cardinals, an Ohio State Buckeye, and a St. Clair Saint will be battling it out next week to see who will be the 10th season champion of the Flexware College Cup Series. Zach DeWale, R. Muhammad Alif, Matt Morton, and Daniel Nanny. Honestly, a really, really strong Final Four, Zach.
Yeah, that's scary to look at. Those are some phenomenal drivers. I mean, you have Alif with 2 wins. You have Morton with 6 wins. You have Nanny with 4 wins. I mean, there's pretty much there. I mean, there's what is that? 12 of 13 wins this season.
11 of 13.
11. Sorry, I can't math. 11 of 13 wins this season.
Yeah. Nanny's got 3 to go with the 6
3.
and the 2 you mentioned.
Gotcha. Yeah. But man, what an incredibly strong group of racers. Zach DeWale, incredibly consistent. R. Muhammad Alif, incredibly consistent as well, always in the hunt. And then Nanny and Morton, they're just on another level right now, as we saw at the end of the race. Those two know how to leave it all on the track, go door to door, gloves are off. And if the end of this race means anything going into next week, I think this is going to be the most exciting and drama-filled championship race that we have ever had in the Flexware College Cup Series. But yeah, this is a special group of drivers, and I am so excited for championship week already.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some fireworks next week in Kansas, and I think we're going to see a lot of really good run. I can't wait. Bring it on right now. Let's get them racked up to go. Let's forget the week-long wait. Let's just get it going right now. I'm ready to go for another 2 hours up here in the booth.
Well, now that we've got our Championship 4 drivers confirmed, let's go ahead and take a look at final results from tonight's Miami 200. Alex, take it away.
You betcha. So Matt Morton from Ohio State University pick up the victory. It was a hard-fought battle, and some net code in the end ended up dictating the end of this race, I think, a little bit. But Morton picks up the victory over Drew Williams from Clemson and Zach DeWale from St. Clair College, who we heard from tonight. Daniel Nanny in the 30 was running so well, battled so well defensively most of that race, and ultimately didn't work out there at the very end, but he does finish in the 4th position, just ahead of Guilford College's Charles Wimbley. Matt Nordberg will finish 6th tonight for NC State, just ahead of the 88 of Andrew Stagey. Kelton Quick will finish 8th, R. Muhammad Alif 9th, and Landon Velicky 10th for Auburn University there. So a good day for Ball State, but ultimately not the win. And a couple of new faces there in that top 10 group with Nordberg, Quick, and Velicky.
Second 10 drivers, Edwin Onofre from UNT will finish P11. P12 goes to the 121 for Andrew Burrell and Clemson University. Jake Cummings will finish 13th for Wingate University, missing out on the championship 4. Lucas Moody finishes as the first car off the lead lap, 2 laps down in P14 for Ball State. Baruch College's Edward Sanchez, what a recovery drive for him. Up to 15th, only 2 laps down after suffering heavy damage about halfway through the race. 16th goes to Ben Neller from Ball State University, 4 laps down. Brandon Schulenberger from Wingate will finish P17. Jason Wallet, P18 for Drexel. Clint Halterman, P19 for UNC Charlotte. And P20 will go to the 124 of Nick Stockner from Clemson University. A race to forget for him. Austin DeLong, 113 laps down, wrecked out early in this race for PCT. He will be scored 21st. And Alex Hallinar, unfortunately, did not take the grid after qualifying for Binghamton. And those are your final results from tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time. We have officially made it. It is championship season in the Flexware College Cup Series. Only one race will stand between our championship 4 and their shot at the Flexware Cup title. Ohio State's Matthew Morton, Ball State's Daniel Nanny, and R. Muhammad Alif and St. Clair College's Zach DeWale. 4 drivers, 4 outstanding resumes among them this season, but only one can hoist the title. It's the Championship 200 next Monday night, where we will crown our Season 10 Flexware College Cup Series champion. Our special edition Ignition Zone pre-race show will start at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, which you certainly won't want to miss, with flag-to-flag coverage of the race beginning at 8:50 Eastern. And for more CIL action this week, Formula C heads to the wildest, fastest track on the calendar for some open wheel, I guess you could call it super speedway racing from Watkins Glen International. Our Muhammad Alif, if he scores 2 points this week, he will secure his 2nd consecutive Formula College World Drivers' Championship. But there's still extremely intense battles for the final podium spot, as well as battles for the Alumni Championship, as we head into the penultimate round of this season this Wednesday night at 8:45 Eastern. To round out this week, as usual, the Collegiate Prototype Challenge will head to the legendary pace for our final non-endurance race of the season. Jordan Johnson once again has one hand on the title after a bit of a scare in the last couple of races from our Muhammad Alif, but he still has a chance to do the unthinkable amidst the chance of rain in the forecast. Will we see another stormy race at Interlagos, or will all the thunder be on the track? Be sure to catch that action this Thursday night at 8:45 Eastern. And I believe that is going to do it for all of us tonight. So on behalf of myself, co-commentator Alex, producer Christian, and all of us here at the CIL, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to tonight's Miami 200. And until next time, stay fast.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Each night you hear the drum is real.